Have all 10,000 taste buds on your...
Ladies and gentlemen, where are the party people at? Are you ready?
The distance between us, no, doesn't matter to me. If we never see each other, no, it doesn't matter to me. And we could forget all the things that we've done, as if we've never been to all the places we've gone. 'Cause as long as the skies are blue, as the ocean waves, you will know the truth. That as long as the skies are blue, we'll adrenaline. Like in the morning, air so fresh and so clean. It's taking me over, oh, adrenaline. Taking me higher, taking me higher, taking me higher, taking me higher, 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 higher. Adrenaline, and in a rush of the breath in my skin. Taking me higher, so high adrenaline. Like in the morning, air so fresh and so clean. It's taking me over, oh, adrenaline. Taking me higher, 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 so high adrenaline.
What up, squad? You know the drill. We're here a little bit later than usual, but we're here nonetheless, and we've got another double header this evening. Our first match of the evening, obviously, going to be on your screen any second now. It's going to be Fluxx Nitro up against Ricochet Darche. We get to try and pronounce it again, Pablo, and probably absolutely butcher it regardless. But we've got a group of players here that we know quite a lot of from either side, and you know the drill. It's Super League, so it's going to be nothing short of a banger, I would anticipate, from what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be unreal. I mean, out of both of us, I should at least be able to pronounce Team Ricochet's name, but I mean, you know how dumb I am at times. But yeah, it's nice to be in a game for a change where we do have a little idea of kind of the capabilities of both teams, so it'll be interesting, you know, again, to see how they face off. You would suspect we've still got kind of like a favourite as such. I think obviously you're looking at Fluxx Esports again. Both teams in Fluxx are very, very strong. You know, they've got one obviously who goes super deep in the 2Ks, but they've, you know, in Trios and Milk, Kez, they've got, you know, a team and a player there that quite often goes nearly all the way. So yeah, it should be an interesting game. Team Ricochet, you've got players that everyone knows, probably some of the most active players on Twitter, if anything, if maybe not the most active on COD. But yeah, it should be a good game nonetheless, and it'll be nice to see the likes of Ricochet and Wake and Kane and Seabiz just on the sticks and playing the game, as opposed to, you know, on the phone and just edgelording everyone on Twitter.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, the rosters for the boys of Fluxx Nitro and Ricochet Darche, Kez, Cyrox, what's it called? Prezi. Sorry, I got Prezi's name for a second, and he put Chiz. He put Chiz in the chat, but it was Chiz, Chiz, but it's not Chiz, it's Chica. So I think Prezi was a couple of beers down for that one, but we are loading into map 1, so yeah, that's their team. And then obviously you've got the boys Ricochet Darche, Object, sorry, as well, I forgot, for Fluxx. And then we've got the boys of Wake, Seabiz, Lakush and Kane for Ricochet Darche, and we've not casted, I'm pretty sure we've not casted Wake in this game as of yet.
Not in Vanguard, no. Obviously you've seen him in fits and spurts last year, because he wasn't very active last year either, so it's good to see him on board with the team, and obviously with a fine org as well. No bias whatsoever there. But yeah, it's just nice to see that the four, you know, together and just getting a few games into the belt. I mean, we are essentially at what could be classed as the almost the model series that we're seeing lately in terms of the maps that are being chosen. Again, it's a mixture of these maps or thereof pretty much all the time. So yeah, it should be exciting. We've got, like, obviously we go into the control is now almost always being Garutu.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that quite a lot, and I think that obviously comes down to the fact that good teams feel like they control the map quite well. But as you can see, Sandwich either side of a double Berlin and a double Tuscan. And let's be honest, I think the last 5 or 6 games we've passed have been a variance of this map set.
Yeah, so obviously look into these two teams, Paz. You know, recently you've been throwing it on me. Obviously this Ricochet Darche is kind of a slightly different roster than what we've seen before. Obviously the new addition in Wake in this slot, but Fluxx Nitro, they're obviously a stacked roster. So is there a particular... Oh, actually, I'll give you something different. Is there a particular player or two that we should probably be keeping an eye on, rather than sticking it to you and saying pick a team?
Well, I mean, you've got to look to Kez in Fluxx Esports. I think he's probably the player that came through the ranks last year and obviously won the rookie last year, or yeah, definitely, you know, won award last year, and he was absolutely flying. So you've got to look to Kez for that, Cheerios and Milk. And then on the other side, I guess just keep an eye out for Wake, because I think we know Kane and Lakush, what they're about, and Seabiz I haven't seen too much of, but I just haven't seen Wake play as regularly as he clearly is now, so this would be interesting to see.
Apologies, I'm not quite sure.
I've got no sound as it is. No visuals as
well. We're back now. Yeah, so I just fat fingered one of the things on my stream deck while trying to reshuffle, and it kind of went a bit tits up. Apologies, sir. We are back in the...
Furious Liam'd me then, or Furious Liam me then.
Yeah, it's like, sorry guys, you can't watch any more of this beautiful action of Call of Duty on the screen. But anyways, in towards the game we go, and Wake, already the man we haven't seen a huge amount of, is started off pretty strong, currently at 3-1. So the boys of Fluxx Nitro already going round towards the back, trying to work their way over towards the P2, and Lakush inside, in and around the hill. Going to have a couple of gunfights any second now. The first one in Kane, going to win one. Lakush wins another one as well. And he's a player, actually, Lakush, that has highly touted for his ability on Call of Duty. He's more kind of like a raw ability kind of player who just goes off in moments, and he's demonstrated again with another couple of kills as his teammates managed to wipe out pretty much every single last man standing. And the boys of Ricochet, Darcho, Pablo, in a good position to hold a solid amount of time here on this P2.
Yeah, they've done really well, and Lukush obviously going big inside the hill with an awesome reaction shot. In a gunfight, you probably would have suspected he wouldn't win, but he goes and absolutely confounds expectation. And right now, you're looking at some absolutely quality slaying across the board from Ricochet Darche. But we look at Fluxx Nitro. You've got two players there, in Chica and Kez, you would expect, but absolutely huge numbers up, and they've early doors just on the struggle bus. I'm sure that'll change though, Major, as we see the kill feed does go entirely red. So, mate, to eat me words very early on, but with only 20 seconds still in it, we're going to see that rotation very, very soon. You can see Fluxx already getting into position, and Chica getting himself nice and settled on the back wall.
Yeah, and apologies, I think there's apparently a bit of frame rate lag. I'm not quite sure what's going on. There wasn't any game sound. Apologies, guys. There should now be game sound. If there is any other issues, just give me a shout, and I'll try and get to the bottom of it. But the boys of Fluxx Nitro now, really good hold as for now. But now Lukush out the back looking for some more players. And there are a couple in and around the hill. The boys of Fluxx Nitro are going to try and work their way out the back in the form of Cyrox. But Lukush, big kill, takes down one. So those purple arrows can now starting to push their way through the back. And last man standing is going to be Kez as he carves down two. He somehow manages to go through Seabiz and Kane. The trade, though, from Wake is going to be there. And now I suppose, Pablo, this is kind of the phase where we see those back spawns really start to come into fruition. Because the boys of Fluxx Nitro, to be fair to them, considering how the spawns have been, they are grabbing a lot of kills.
Yeah, absolutely. They finally picked up, which is grand for them. They had two players who were really struggling, but they're fighting from the front as well. So even though the spawns are going the way of Ricochet Darche, Fluxx Nitro fight for the front, but not just that. They're set up quite solidly to potentially get kills in transition, but that's going to be a huge one there as Seabiz is able to take down, I think it was Chica. So huge kill. That's going to give Ricochet Darche the opportunity to potentially get in around the back of Warehouse and start to work on the time there. 20-second differential right now. And again, that's a pretty easy one to cover if they're able to get one team wipe on this next hill. This Warehouse build usually does force the spawns to be quite a distance, so good geography to cover if you are indeed Fluxx Nitro. But Major, this is already shaping up to be a very tight game.
Yeah, and now D-Biz locks on towards the hill, soaking up more time, so really nothing between these guys at the moment. Chica is going to try and work his way around towards the left-hand side. But you can see the aggression coming through from Ricochet Darche. Lukush with another kill to put 3 in a row, and currently combining for 7 between the 4 of them. As number 8 Cyrox is going to go all the way round the back. A really patient play here that might pay off if he can just grab the kills. There's one onto Seabiz. There's another man on his left, and good kills coming through from Cyrox. Manages to grab 2. And now the boys of Fluxx going to get on that remaining scrap time. It isn't a huge amount as we go over to towards one of the more messy hills on the hard point, but I suppose this as well, Pablo, is where you really look to kind of your automaton players to kind of keep those players pinned back in spawns, because especially the top tier teams in Europe, they can hold a lot of time on this hill. It's more kind of the organization and the positioning of players that really makes or breaks this one for some teams.
Yeah, it's getting into those positions as early as possible and then getting them settled. And you can see Fluxx Nitro already pushed over to fire to try and see what picks they could get and cause as much disruption as possible. There are a number of strategies you can approach this from. Obviously, you can look to try and get as much time as possible, or you can simply look to do exactly what Fluxx Nitro have done, which is get picks and just cause as much problem as possible in terms of getting any time. So you then set up for the spawns over to the next rotation of hills, and that's exactly what they've tried to do. But look at number 3 there, Lukush, being very sneaky down the left-hand side, and this could be a big moment because I don't think number 8 in Cyrox is expecting this at all, but he is potentially about to get pinched, doesn't know which way to turn. This could be a bad timing for him. He is going to get tagged up, so it's going to be Fluxx Nitro who do get the time on the hill in this next rotation. But look at that straight away, because they didn't leave a man out towards the back. It's going to be Ricochet Darche. You do get those spawns, so this is a very, very interesting approach from the team in red. And right now, I mean, the game couldn't be more tight. So you've got 2 totally different strategies in terms of how teams approach this. Kill feed again going the way of red. But right now, I would say Fluxx Nitro not really. I mean, they're toe-to-toe. In terms of KD, the scores are very, very similar at the minute, with Fluxx maybe having the edge on kills, but they're not turning that into effective time. So still only about 15 seconds in it, Major, and we are about to head into the second rotation, which should definitely start to separate the players.
Yeah, and the way these guys are going at the moment, Lukush has got a big gunfight here. up against Kez in the corner, but Kez, another kill comes through for him, so 3 in a row for Kez, and that scrap time. Fluxx Nitro is really going to start to push this lead out. Kane is already at the new hill alongside his teammate, but his teammate in Wake is going to fall on that occasion, and Kane still hunting for kills, but the boys in red, they just punch through again to take off the remaining players over on the rotation. And Ricochet is going to fall as well. So now Ricochet, Darche really starting to struggle a little bit for some momentum. Kez in middle map is going to get taken down by CBiz on that occasion. And you've still got Cyrox lurking nearby, hunting for the trade. A little bit windy from him, but can he get the shots into CBiz? Surely his teammate in Object is going to push up and get the trade. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Ricochet's got to be a little bit careful though, because man, Kez still lurking nearby alongside his teammate, but they managed to get the kills once again. Fluxx Nitro still trying to use their aggression just to push their way in towards the hill. But Ricochet, Darche at the moment, Pablo, it was a good retake of the hill, and if they get this scrap time again, we're going to be pretty much back to even.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to get tied up, and a great performance really towards the end of that. And look at that, it's a bot lobby kill feed if you've ever seen one, as Fluxx and Nitro fall by the wayside, not once but 1.5 times. But again, you would suspect a little bit, hyper aggressive play from Ricochet, Darche. They've got Kane pushing through on the chase on players that he potentially should leave to other people. It looks like they're going to lose the hill, and they don't. They manage to keep it, and we're going to see this again, this huge fight as Fluxx Nitro again are left in this position where they've got to try and battle from the front, and it comes down entirely to their ability to predict where players are, good comms and their gun skill. And right now you would say Ricochet, Darche, got them matched for match, and they're taking a solid chunk of time, and not just that, they've taken the lead, Major.
Yeah, nice work from Chica. Is able to grab the first, but you've still got Kane lurking in the back here for the boys of Ricochet, Darche, and Object just using that window to try and trap a few players in the spawn, so they do manage to flip them out. And with 25 seconds remaining, it looks as though Ricochet, Darche have kind of resigned to the fact that they're not going to be really able to go in towards the hill and contest any more time. Wake is going to manage to grab a kill, and he gets a second as well onto Chica on those players trying to transition out, so they've done a good job just to try and push Fluxx Nitro back on the early parts of the rotation towards the new hill. And now number 3, Ricochet, might be a busy man. There's a few players running straight towards him. There's one in Cyrox. He's still lurking nearby. It looks as though Chica knows his rough whereabouts. Should be able to grab that kill, and he does. But now Ricochet, Darche still trailing by around 25 points. Need to hold strong here. You can see all those purple arrows at the moment currently locked up in the back, but they're kind of turtling in a little bit, Pablo. They've got to be careful not to sit in too deep, because otherwise they'll just offer Fluxx Nitro the ability to kind of work their way in towards the hill patiently and almost push the spawns out of just raw aggression. And Cyrox looks as though he's trying to do exactly that. Yeah,
you've just seen that was a fortunate kill for Fluxx Nitro. Number 8 Cyrox finally able to get the push through, but again, you're quite right. It does look like Ricochet, Darche a little slow, just getting set up on the hill, and that's just allowed Fluxx Nitro that opportunity to push from the front. You don't often see it, but you do see the occasional, usually very, very good high tier AM side push from the front and do well. But Ricochet, Darche have fought back admirably, and you would suspect that with only 10 seconds left on the hill, they're going to potentially be able to get this, and not quite tied up, but get as damn close as possible as they enter probably the most contested hill of all. And it could be interesting to see the strategies here. Previously Fluxx Nitro did try and hold back for that spawn for that which would be now the 3rd rotation, but was then the 2nd. And it didn't really suit them very well. They ended up losing the spawns to Ricochet, Darche, and now I think they're just thinking, yeah, we need to get time on the hill. We can't allow Fluxx Nitro to get too big a lead, and they've decided to try and push. And again, we're just seeing the trades go back and forth.
Yeah, and Cyrox just assuming that position that you tend to see a lot of players do, up the top at 3rd, and he is going to manage to trade out Ricochet after he drops his teammate. So still 29 seconds remaining on this hill. The boys of Ricochet, Darche surely going to try and at least grab just a little bit of a slither of it if they can manage to get the kills. They've still got the issue though of Cyrox, who is just still lurking on the high ground. It shows how difficult it is to try and get players on towards the hill when that player's got the high ground. And Kane, this might be big time here for Ricochet, Darche, and a big kill there coming through from Kane to at least secure a few more seconds. Kez is going to be there to trade him off of the point, but now those purple arrows ready and waiting on the rotation. Ricochet lurking nearby, but oh man, Cyrox doesn't miss a bullet on him. And now they offer the boys of Fluxx Nitro an opportunity to push in, but good work from CBiz, making the reads that there was a player coming through on the pinch. Cyrox, though, is going to be doing the same, and this time CBiz hasn't read the 2nd attempt at this one, so he might get caught out here, and Chica grabs a kill, Object grabs a kill, Cyrox joins the boys, and just like that, Pablo, Fluxx Nitro punch in towards P1, and now they're in the driving seat.
Man, Cyrox has tried to flank on a number of different occasions towards this hill. He got caught over towards the left-hand steps after he did take a player down in the middle, and then gets absolutely decimated over towards steps. And I think, do you know what? I'll try it again and go around the back, and it absolutely works as they get the pinch, they drop the plays, and they're able to take a solid chunk of time. And with 20 seconds remaining, they can win it off this hill. So this is whether Ricochet Darche are capable of got anyone who can do the maths. They don't know if they realise that they're going to need to push in on hill, because this is going to be a huge problem for them right now. Maybe number 4 finally realised that they are, you know, potentially going to lose out, but I don't think they've done the maths, Major.
Nope, they haven't.
That is wild.
Mathematics don't come through there for Fluxx Nitro, unfortunately. Well, not Fluxx Nitro, Ricochet Darche. Their maths doesn't work, and neither do my eyes. So Ricochet Darche,
I'm going to speak to Unknown and tell him to get the calculators out for the team.
Yeah. So it is going to be a win there for the boys of Fluxx Nitro as they go 1-0 up in the series. But it wasn't exactly like Ricochet Darche were getting blown out of that one, Pabs. It almost felt as though that just Fluxx Nitro, we've seen it on Berlin, where those rotations really come through, and they made them pay for it, really.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look some of the statistics there. I mean, Wake had an absolute blinder of a game, 27 kills, 21 untraded, and just, you know, all the players in the game, really, it's one of the first times you've seen every player contribute really heavily, whether that be in kills or in time, played really, really well, and a good performance across the board. I just think that over towards the latter part of the second rotation, they just started to make a few overtly aggressive plays that just didn't really work out for them. So, you know, simple things like Kane over pushing and over chasing, you know, we ended up leaving the hill, which was a P2 I think on the second rotation, and after that point they just kind of got blown away. And I think the other problem they had was that they weren't picking up Cyrox's movements. He was able to get in behind him a couple of times and get a few kills, and we saw that over towards Warehouse Hill, and then we saw it again twice, in fact, over towards that P1. So big off your cap, and you know, entirely tippable plays by Cyrox to do that. But again, Ricochet Darche just a little naive, but you could see, you know, the gun skill is carrying them through quite admirably.
Yeah, and obviously with this kind of the group at the moment, obviously you've got the boys of Team Ricochet at the moment, Ricochet Darche, and this group at the moment is kind of one that is quite heavily contested in Group C. We've obviously got Team Toki, Team Kez, or who are now the boys of Fluxx. Then you've got the likes of Mistaken Esports, Vertex, ICG, obviously Ricochet Darche as well, Liquidate and Corrupt. So there's quite a big bulk of teams in this group that are kind of around a similar level. So these kind of games where you get the close matchups, they're really, really important for some of these teams to, even if they do it in kind of a sloppy standard, to try and, if they can pull out some of these series out of the bags where they necessarily didn't really play too well, they could be the difference between maybe securing 4th and going through to the bracket, or securing 5th and not being in there at all.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you make a good point about how close they are. It's going to be I think this could be a very tight season, a tight league. I think it's probably going to potentially be the closest league because of how close the players are in terms of their capabilities, and fundamentally that they do. We can see from that game they've got fundamentally different strategies, but their capabilities, whether they are coherent in terms of how they approach the strategy or whether they've got just out and out slayers, is pushing both teams in the right direction, and that will be the same for a number of the other teams within that league as well. So I mean, we say it all the time, but the Super League was created to create this kind of game that we see, you know, these hugely close matches. So I mean, we haven't seen a great deal, and everything that we've predicted of being 3-0 has just gone completely the other way. So I suspect we're going to see a lot of map 4s and map 5s as it is. With the performances coming out of Ricochet Darche in terms of their capability, in terms of killing, you would expect that they are going to be able to take a map off Fluxx Nitro, but I mean, who knows? We go into S&D again. This is 2 really technical variants of the same map, so probably the most technical map in Berlin, and we get to see, and it really does allow you to see who the cleverer teams are and who are able to kind of execute their strategies in the best way. And this definitely, coming up in a Berlin S&D, will definitely set a differential between the teams.
Yeah, and another thing as well is, we've flagged it up a few times, of the impact that snipers can have on this map. If one team has a sniper and the other team necessarily doesn't, obviously we'll have to wait and see if either of these guys are going to run a sniper. But yeah, the importance to grab that first pick and almost lock down lanes on Berlin, especially down that B site, can be really important with those snipers sometimes on Berlin.
Yeah, I think we kind of have an argument back and forth where we obviously know it's a great suppression weapon, it's great for gathering information, and if you are able to get a pick, it obviously it's usually off the rip, so you get that first blood, you get that, you know, either great defense opportunity or you get some bomb site control out of it.
Yeah.
And then ultimately the other argument is that if you have got it in the hands of kind of an inconsistent sniper, it becomes quite inefficient. They end up having to roam the map in order to pick up another weapon if they end up in that kind of predictable clutch situations. And we've seen just how difficult it is to clutch up in this game. And obviously the sniper tends to be the player that's last alive, and that can present a problem in itself. So, you know, then 1v2, 1v3 situations, even in a 1v1 with a sniper, it's going to prove difficult. So you have to go off hunting for an MP40 or an automaton. So there's a lot of dynamics with it, and so that's why it's great for the viewer, great for the caster, but obviously as a player, it presents a number of opportunities, but also a number of deficiencies as well. So, I mean, we love it, and it's a shame that we're seeing kind of like Desert Siege getting kind of kicked to the curb as such, because it's another map where you get to see, I mean, especially really, really good sniper plays. So hopefully, you know, someone's going to pull it out, whip it out.
Yeah. Wait, enough of that. So now the boys of Ricochet Darche obviously going to look to tie up the series, and we've had a nice lobby restart to kick us off. So apologies for the delays, guys. And if there was some choppy frames, I'm not sure why it decided to do it, but I've now given the game a restart, relinked it on OBS, so hopefully there isn't any more dropped frames in this one, guys. Apologies for the issues that we did have in map 1. Gotta love computers sometimes. That's the one thing we all know and love about PCs. 1 second they're working fine, you literally just press the on button one morning and then it all goes tits up. So hopefully it is all going to be good for that. But one thing I wanted to say actually, Pablo, was obviously map 1. We haven't seen a huge amount of Wake in this Call of Duty, but he didn't really seem lost as far as being in that kind of that slower AR role, kind of making the picks. Obviously when we go to like the Tuscans, it might be a bit more indicative of kind of how much time he's put into the game, but he did seem to be doing his role pretty efficiently on Ricochet Darche, obviously playing it slow, playing rotations, getting picks here and there. He wasn't exactly getting like bullied off the map either as well, so he obviously seems to have found his feet pretty much early on.
Yeah, I think obviously you don't get to see that player's point of view on a permanent basis, but he didn't make any like horrific mistakes that we can see from the time we did see him. He put up great numbers, and they were a great amount of non-traded kills. I didn't really see how much time he got. I wasn't really sure how much time, but I know he dropped like 27, so he's putting up decent numbers. I think the rest of his team were in their mid-20s, so great slaying across the board. But yeah, Wake absolutely, you know, I think he potentially got the most kills on his team. So a player we did single out just to view, not really potentially because he was going to be any better than the rest of the team, but just of interest to us in general as a player we hadn't got to see that much of in Cold War. He was an active player in the community, but just not very active in terms of playing within teams. So nice to see him in Vanguard, nice to see him back on the sticks, and he's the Welsh wizard, so hopefully he can continue this form. And I'm sure he'd want me to give a shout out for Cardiff as well. The 1 or 2 times I've played pubs with him, they just wouldn't shut up about it. So hopefully he'll continue, and Team Ricochet Darche will go from strength to strength. Fluxx Nitro, we know that they're potentially just a little bit stronger in terms of their cohesion as a unit. They've done well in 2Ks and stuff, so, and Kez is obviously flying, but we've just seen how close the teams matched up, 250 to 194.
Yeah.
And it was really just the thing that does separate a lot of the teams was they start great. All the teams start kind of really, really well, but then you have one team that just is able to be consistent and maintain that pace right the way through. And that's one thing we do see sometimes, especially from teams that have just got together, is they drop off the pace, they lose a bit of the rhythm, and that's when you start making that's where the mistakes start happening. You either overcommit to next and get pushed off it, or you undercommit, or, you know, as happened with Ricochet Darche, they weren't able to get set up into their preferred positions and they're not able to respond quickly to any problems that then presents. So when Fluxx Nitro get into the hill, get up to the hill really quickly, then they're just not set. They get bullied and pushed out, and Fluxx Nitro were able to take, especially in the latter part of the second rotation, the beginning of third, they're just able to butter to just take the hill. So that's something that Team Ricochet can work on. They can, you know, increase the speed, you know, just as well as that, having like an effective in-game leader who's just got one eye on the map at all times, one eye on the time, and just, you know, forcing the teams to just stick to that strategy and respond well is important. But again, we're back to this Berlin S&D, mate, and this is going to be, you know, very interesting to see how the strategies play out.
Yeah, so it's going to be Ricochet Darche on the attacking round to get us going. And the lone man in Cyrox is going to be on his Todd over towards this B site. They're not completely committed over towards it just yet. So Ricochet, Darche playing it patiently, playing it a bit more structured. But now Cyrox is going to be a busy B. But there's one potential. Oh, no! Ooh. Oh, no! That's not way. That is not a way you want to start a search and destroy. Seabiz has absolutely bodied him. That is something you don't want to see right off the rip.
Oh man, did Cyrox lend one of my guns? I think he may have lent one of my guns to this game, and it's just completely shot marshmallows. He's got 3 players lined up to absolutely destroy him, and takes no one and gets, you know, the reaction shot of doom as Seabiz just turns around. And it's going to be a 2v2 though. Finally, it does look like Chica and Kez have managed to team up. He is going to get taken down. So Seabiz again with the heroic stance inside bomb. Kez left last within a 1v2. This is again, you know, regardless of the quality of the player, a 1v2 on Berlin is a bit of a nightmare with only 10 seconds remaining, Major.
Yeah, Kez doesn't have the time really to work anything here, so I assume he's going for kills. There's one onto Seabiz, so now makes it a 1 versus 1. Unless Wake is going to overchow this potentially. He isn't going to get that second kill, so it's going to be first round going on the board for Ricochet, Darche. And we know some, obviously in Kane, he's a very, very good search and destroy player naturally anyway, so it wouldn't surprise me if Ricochet, Darche are pretty organised in terms of strats and knowing what they're doing on search and destroy. I wouldn't sleep on this roster for search and destroy gameplay. Obviously, the boys of Fluxx Nitro, they look, like you mentioned, kind of, in terms of just pace and raw gun skill, you would maybe say they might have a little bit more in the tank, but Ricochet, Darche, they do come across as like an organised roster on paper. Yeah. I don't think you'll see any players giving away like stupid first bloods per se.
Yeah, I mean, they've got that vibe of like a solid unit. You know, they're like a little mini tank making their way through the map. So I would suspect they're going to provide us with solid rounds, and there's no way Unknown would have a team in the org where they're potentially, you know, under practiced in a particular game mode. And obviously we know Kane's history as an S&D player, so you would suspect that, you know, any information he can impart, and just look at this, you know, look at the way he plays prone. He does get tagged up, so fortunately it doesn't work, but they are up against a team that are no slouches in any of the game modes at all. And Kez is 3-0 right now. Ooh. Despite it being a 1-0, and Object goes off with the handgun as well. So right now it's a 1v4, and you would suspect this is a position that you're not going to see anyone clutch up. He does get one, so Wake, but the information already found out, Major, and Cyrox on the hunt.
Yeah, can Wake manage to grab another kill? Sorry. He spotted Object pistol out, and he gets a second as well. So 20 seconds left on the clock, but he is going to get spotted and dropped in the end. It felt as though that defensive side of Ricochet, Darche, they just kind of opted Fluxx Nitro a couple of pathways through. It was a very split approach, and they didn't really commit to either particular bomb. And I suppose Vanguard is a game pause that we talked about it before, where teams do split up quite a bit, especially when it's like 1 versus 2s or 1 versus 3s. A lot of teams have that kind of confidence to do it, but when you're playing kind of with a 4-man spread, you got to be careful not to grant the other team too many picks, because Fluxx Nitro at the moment, especially on Berlin, where there's quite a few lanes where you can slip through, they did a really good job, Kez especially, of working his way through, and they managed to get those all-important picks in positions where Ricochet, Darche didn't really have anyone really nearby for a trade.
Yeah, obviously that's the other thing. You know, we talk about that stat line, that the non-traded kills. It's so vital in something like this, with every kill. And Seabiz is at it again. He's absolutely disgusting plays. His reactions are unreal. Finally, it does look like Luku's going to take Cyrox down. So it's going to be Chica all on his own in a 1v3 in a really difficult situation. Chica does get the handgun shot, so 1v2, a very similar situation, but the nade's going to go out. Information passed, and Ricochet, Darche are going to go 2-1 up. But yeah, a great point made, mate. Again, it's all about those trades. You do need to be, you know, coherent. The comms need to be good, but more importantly, you need to be in a position where you can effectively trade out to maintain that man advantage.
Yeah, for sure. So now 2-1 to the boys of Ricochet, Darche. And if you guys did miss map number 1, it finished 250 to 194 on the same setting in Berlin for the map 1 hard point. This is one of our 2 series that we do have this evening in the Super League, so plenty of group games still to be remaining out of these 2 guys. And Fluxx Nitro only 1-0 up, looking for a back-to-back map win here to push themselves potentially 2-0 up, but already a first blood there for Object. Manages to take down Kane as his struggles already continue. Lakush is currently on a 4 streak at the moment, though. If he manages to get another pick, that glide bomb will be all important. Kez is going to get the bomb down here, and again, it's another round where Ricochet, Darche, they've kind of gifted Fluxx Nitro quite a bit of map control, and now they've allowed them to get the bomb down, and we've seen it multiple times, Pablo. This site is not necessarily the easiest to retake.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one. There's a lot of opportunity from the back to get angles on bomb. You've got a well covered player in bomb, and then you can have a player as we've seen who can be in and around the bomb site in a number of different positions. And this is going to lend itself really nicely to number 8. Cyrox is going to get a pretty easy kill and then be able to dip to a. They've got a little bit of information, but again, he can go out left, he can get into the middle of the hill, and this makes it very, very difficult. And again, Ricochet Darche maybe being a little generous. Cyrox with 5 seconds left, though. This has been a nice defense from Fluxx Nitro.
Yeah, and another good round coming through from the boys in red. So nothing really separating these two at the moment. They are just trading blow for blow. And the boys of Fluxx Nitro are going to tie it up with the final kill coming through from Kez. So we'll wait to see whether or not one team in particular can maybe get back-to-back rounds here, because it feels almost like a Tuscan at the moment. Perhaps it's like one win and the other team wins, and the other team wins and the other team wins. Whereas obviously Berlin isn't quite as prone to that as we see quite a lot on Tuscan, but it's one where, yeah, as you get that bomb down, it's really, really hard to try and work your way through the warehouse. But those more organised teams, and I think the quicker pace teams as well, as soon as they get almost the idea that there's going to be a player pushing over towards that B point, they make the adjustment, hit the quick flank, and sometimes it really does pay off for them.
I'm so glad you didn't get your words.
Oh, yeah, it was close, wasn't it? It was close.
Yeah, absolutely. Aggressive teams do tend to be able to get that bomb down, but again, they can. That is the great help there. But one of the great problems then is that aggression can lead to them getting traded quite easily. And you'll see that time and time again. But some of the players from Ricochet Darche have got some of the best reaction shots that we've seen of late. CBiz in particular. You would suggest, Major, though, that the big factor in this game, in terms of not getting to grips with the game, is Kane, a player we've singled out of having good S&D experience, is immensely on the struggle bus.
Yeah.
0-4 right now, despite Ricochet Darche's heroics, he's not playing very well at all.
I'd like to formally apologise to Kane, because knowing our history, as soon as we flag something up like that with our history, we just jinxed it straight away. So apologies, Kane. He has got 1 kill though, so at least he's not part of the 007 agency potentially. But yeah, if he can manage to grab a few more kills as this starts to unfold, the boys of Ricochet Darche will be in a much better position as we go in towards round number 6. It will be Chico just watching over that middle lane, and number 2 CBiz is going to be busy over towards this site again as Kez works his way up a little bit, but Object manages to get the first blood again. So now they're in a position where it's going to be a little bit more optimal for them to enter in towards the A site, but there's one for CBiz. There's going to be another man in Kez there for the trade. So the boys of Fluxx Nitro, they do now have control of the site, and now it's going to be Kane and Lakush going to try and work their way in towards this A-bomb site. Can they get the picks? There's one for Kane. Lakush is still nearby as well, and he gets one as well. So all of a sudden, this round is now on a knife edge. Cyrox, can he get one? Yes, he can. 1 versus 1 up against Lakush. And this is a really big kill as well. If Lakush manages to get this kill and the bomb defuse, he will only be 1 away from streaks again. He did get shut down previously on that 4 streak, but we'll see if he can work it this time. Cyrox just playing close towards the bomb. Just waiting for that moment to make the play, and Cyrox is going to get spotted. Lakush gets the kill, and he's going to get the defuse as well, Pablo. A huge round for Ricochet Darche as they push it out 2-round cushion.
You see Kane start to contribute, and Ricochet Darche suddenly taking a 2-0 lead. Lakush going absolutely huge to defuse. He's 8-3 as well, so putting up enormous numbers for an S&D, and that's going to give Darche that 2-round cushion. It's a great position to be in. They're 2 away from potentially tying it up, and they do look really solid and slightly, a bit more in control this time round. So Ricochet Darche on the ascendancy, and in terms of questions you got to ask from Fluxx Nitro, again, we talked about that almost reciprocation in terms of allowing teams to get bombed down or being under aggressive. Fluxx Nitro, surprisingly for the players they've got, do seem a little off the pace in this S&D.
So Kane looking for the kill, but his struggles do continue a little bit more. But Lakush is going to be there for the trade. This is getting messy already. Over towards the site, and all of a sudden, in the space of a few seconds, Lakush is now the last man up. Chica and Object both get kills, but Lakush does at least get fully streaked out. And now, boys of Ricochet Darche once again leaning to Lakush to try and make something work here. He doesn't have the bomb either, so he's going to have to try and work a little bit of magic here. He's going to wrap all the way round towards the B site. As mentioned, doesn't have the bomb, so he's going to be looking potentially for a pick or 2 here. The players of Fluxx Nitro, they're playing relatively close to each other. Tell you what, if he spots Object here, that's a free pick. So now 1 versus 1. Chica's up top. Oh my God, is Lakush going to go for it? The ego. He's just going to fly over towards him. But now Chica, has he got the positioning right? Oh my god, he's turned around. Oh, it's cat and mouse. Lakush knows where he is. Lakush gets some bullets in. He's going to fly around the corner. Can he get the kill? Yes, he can. And Lakush with an enormous round for Ricochet Darche as they now lead 5-2.
I was honestly thought Lakush, I was like, stop watching third. He's clearly got off third. Even if you haven't got X-rays, he's no longer there. And eventually, what was he doing? Turning away from fire. Suddenly thinks, no, I'll go the other way. And Lakush with we talk about how difficult it is to clutch up, and you can see right there why it's difficult. So many ways you can go, so many entrances, exits, so many different places you can end up, and it just makes it so difficult. But what a way, man! He's on an 8 streak, uses none of his streaks, and he's 1 round away. I mean, Lakush could essentially now sit back and bring in some of his streaks, but he's decided to try and win it the conventional way. And Ricochet Darche looking extremely solid, and Kane now on the hunt, feeling himself, and that is going to be 1 versus 3 with a minute 8 remaining on the clock, as Cyrox has got it all to do to stop this series being tied up 1-0.
Yeah, 1 versus 3 Cyrox. What are you made of? Light bomb comes through, so they know where he is now. The call-out's going to come through. Lakush is going to try and land it right on his back pocket. Is going to be saved by the indestructible wooden door from that glide bomb. So now Cyrox, they know where he is roughly, and he's going to do incredibly well to stay alive here. But Seabiz, oh no, that is so unfortunate. Literally, Seabiz was lurking for so long, and now he's going to get shot in the side through the window. Ricochet Darche coming back with a real statement there, Pablo, 6-2, and they tie the series up.
I can remember 4 rounds ago when one Major Chavin said, this is very much like Tuscan. It's just going back and forth, and then from nowhere, we're made to eat our words one more time. As Ricochet Darche just get complete control of the map, and you've got to look to those 2 players there. Seabiz with some of the quickest reaction kills you're likely to see, and of course, who just has an absolutely dominant performance. And then on the other side, Fluxx Nitro, they've got a player in Kane who really only started to pick up kills during the latter rounds of the S&D. So a big performance from Ricochet Darche. Great discipline and a great little bit of regain in you would say partway through the series, and we go into what is probably the wildest of the maps, the Gavutu control, because it could literally go either way.
Yeah, and this is something we talk about all the time, is kind of when you start to go into those maps where you have the 3 ARs, this Gavutu really does separate those really strong flex players from the ones who are a little bit more visibly comfortable on those SMG roles. So Gavutu control, one that we've started to see quite a bit of now, Pablo, as you mentioned before the series even got started. It's one that players seem to be more kind of committed to, I guess is the word. Obviously, Tuscan can be very, very questionable with some of the spawns that you tend to see. So Gavutu definitely seems to be the ones that teams are leaning on a lot more. I can't recall the last time we had a Tuscan control. It's been a fair few series.
I think Gavutu's just a little easier to predict. So players just feel that bit more comfortable on it than on Tuscan, obviously, as well. In the attacking sense, the B is only so much more difficult to take on Tuscan than it is on the Gavutu. You've got, that weird elevation that you've got on that all the way around that B zone, and you've got so many different entrances, exits, where you've literally got beach control. If you get beach control and you get P1 control with the air gun control, you can kind of get beat, at least a tick and a half before you get pushed off. And if the other team decides not to drain it, which we do see time and time again, then you just need to concentrate on A, and that's going to, we've seen it. If you average that out, it's going to be like a minute 30 that you've got to potentially go and get B. So you can see why it's more attractive. It seems like a more plausible kind of opportunity for teams to be able to actually win in the attacking rounds. So it is a good option, and Tuscan just is slightly imbalanced. It's a little bit bigger in that sense, a little bit of a spread in terms of the zone. So I mean, I guess we are starting to see that split in terms of the series, and we're seeing Gavutu a lot more. I would still say if another map was to be released where it was more balanced, that we would probably see Gavutu rotated out of this series choices, the way that we're seeing Bocage suddenly disappear and the way that we're seeing Desert Siege suddenly disappear.
Yeah, so now we're tied up, and after the first 2 maps, I mean, a strong performance in the hardpoint from Fluxx Nitro and a strong performance from Ricochet Darche in the Search and Destroy. So this is potentially what you consider to be the swing round, Pablo. Obviously, before, where we've not had the control in, we've been used to seeing, right, okay, who's the strongest on respawn, who's the strongest on search, and then usually that hardpoint team takes a series where it was 3 maps out of the 5, whereas now we've got a position where we've got that third game mode back in control, and it's one, obviously, that's kind of a mixture between Search and Destroy and hardpoint, in the sense that you've got to play your life a bit more carefully. You can't just keep throwing yourself at the hill. So Fluxx Nitro, as good as they looked in that in that first respawn. They're obviously, their aggression is going to have to be a bit more controlled, but obviously when you're talking about kind of the likes of Kez and that, they do know what they're doing. They're not just aimlessly throwing themselves at the point, but the boys of Ricochet, Darche with the likes of Wake kind of holding down a lot of the lanes and kind of in his comfortable role where you can just stick him on a heady and he'll mow through players. They're going to have to be a bit more calculated in this one in comparison to the Berlin.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to actually try and look at a coherent strategy to wipe the team, as opposed to just potentially for, well, even if they only have 2 players playing a strategy and 2 players doing that kind of Rambo role. I think they need to avoid that. I think they need to work coherently, kind of take some of that 2K energy that they gave in the previous, big tournaments where they were doing well, and start to apply it to this game. Otherwise, it's going to run away from them. I think they've probably come into this a little bit complacent and probably underestimating the capabilities of the 4 players in purple. And I think it's taken them by surprise, because that was a massive slap in S&D. That's a back to the lab kind of performance in terms of getting defeated. So Gavutu controls a good opportunity for both teams to just really prove that they have got capable ARs and that they're able to conduct coherent strategy. Not so much, obviously, it just comes down to that kind of get the team kill, wipe the team and just sit long haul forward on the hill, have someone on boat, and maybe have one person outside the boat just watching that mid lane, watching the air gun area, just make sure no one pops down. But you do need a coherent strategy towards B, and we've seen it time and time again, teams just having to be super aggro, maybe getting the ticks over with a handful of seconds to go, but it's not really the way it goes down. It's really strong defensive point, so they're going to need to give, whoever's going to win this is potentially going to need to give themselves a solid 2 minutes of time. They need to capture that A really quickly, or be inventive in terms of the B, and just get the kills and just be as dominant as possible. And really, we know it comes down to that B-ball control.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that A point is almost for the defensive side, kind of like, obviously, unless they're incredibly strong in comparison to the other team, it feels more like a damage limitation point, where you either try and milk the time as much as you can, or try and take as many lives off the other team as possible before you then take that stronghold over towards the B point. So it'll be interesting to see how the boys of Fluxx Nitro going to try and operate around that A point first. We've seen a few approaches from some teams, Pablo, where they've opted to almost try and catch out other teams by just throwing a lot of players over towards B and trying to almost get that commitment of players over towards that side of the map, and then go for A afterwards if they don't obviously capture it straight off the rip. And it's already looking a little bit bleak for the boys of Fluxx Nitro, because Ricochet, Darche, they've got a first wave of kills, and already you can see Lakush is slowly starting to push his way up and tag those players on the cross.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see number 4, Cyrox, again trying to make that sneaky play across. But again, just not enough commitment really from Fluxx Nitro. Just very under-aggressive, pushing through to A, very non-committal. And you see from Ricochet, Darche, something that we haven't seen from many teams. They just completely blitz onto the hill, full commitment, and they get the team wipe, and very aggressive. And you would expect that out of these guys. They're a very aggressive team. Seba's already on a 4-0. He's about potentially to get that glide in, and it's taken an entire push across beach from Fluxx Nitro. And again, we saw this time and time again yesterday, but it comes down to this control. Are they going to be able to tie these players up? It's looking good for them now. Good progress. We expect to see that tick and a half major, and again, it does look like they're potentially at least going to get 2 ticks over towards B before Ricochet, Darche can even get close to them.
Yeah, and Object's just being a right nuisance out the back. He is going to grab another kill. And number 6 in Seabis is going to try and work his way over towards the point, but that is exactly what the boys of Fluxx Nitro pretty much needed to do. They've already got Cyrox on the new point as well, so this is going to be really, really difficult with Ricochet, Darche even to try and work their way in. Kane's going to have to try and make a few kills here, to say the least. Chica is going to miss up the jump, but never mind, doesn't miss up the shots there as he manages to grab the kill. And now with the kill feed lighting up red and the progress still coming through, Chica is slowly edging his way over towards the first tick, and now they're in a perfect position here, Pablo. Fluxx Nitro, they've got their assault rifle players on the high ground. You've got Kez watching over the middle. It looks as though it's all going to have to fall on Kane to at least grab 1, if not 2.
I'm so confused though. You've got a Kane absolutely goes off on the hill, but number 3 has just seen every single player push through middle, and he must have known a player is potentially going to push P1. No information's given out, and Kane's able to just walk through and get the team wipe. So some really interesting plays as Kez maybe comms it a little off, or there's an issue there. Maybe he didn't see him. It was just a bit of COD timing, but very interesting plays from Fluxx Nitro. But again, they've went and done the more difficult job of grabbing B. Ricochet, Darche just look kind of slovenly in their response to it. But it does look like they're going to make a meal of getting this A. And right now, you know, they're looking at this pinch. They're almost treating A the way most teams treat B, which is, you know, they're looking to get a pinch around both sides to try and force this team of purple not to be able to get any kind of drain on the kill whatsoever. But right now, it's become a war of attrition. But Major, there's only one life. In fact, it's 10 versus 10 right now with 30 seconds. This is going to be very difficult for Fluxx Nitro to be able to take this right now in this position.
Yeah, CBiz is just going to be lurking outside, and at the moment, Ricochet Darkshade currently controlling the top of the boat. Cyrox is going to be here looking for a kill, but Kane shuts him down, so a good couple of kills coming through for the boys in purple. As more come through, as Wake is going to join the club as well. And more boys on the side of Fluxx Nitro are just going to be dropping by the wayside, and there's another kill for Wake as he looks to try and chop down every single remaining player, pretty much, who tries to transition over towards this A point. So now down to 3 lives, 1 second remaining. I don't even think they're going to touch this one. And a good opening defensive round from Ricochet Darkshade, Pablo, in what was very, very difficult off the start. They dropped that B point, but they make it work over at A. We don't tend to see a lot of teams do that.
Mate, you've just seen, you know, you try and give a bit of colour casting. The scene changes in the middle of the cast. Like, you got one thing happening, which is Fluxx looking completely confounded on A. And as you're talking about that, they go and cap B in the same process. So getting the more difficult one, getting it done and dusted, and then they can't finish and see out on what you would consider the easier A zone. Great play by Ricochet Darche again. Fortunate in the sense that their gamble paid off, but now they've got to do it, and it's got to be reciprocated if they want to potentially go 2-1 up in this series. But right now, everyone seems to be doing okay on the slaying front in terms of killing. Very even across the board. You would suspect Darche with a slight advantage. Ooh. I'm not sure whether CBiz got a glide. I think he may have got dropped just a little bit earlier than the glide in the previous round. So right now he is trying to build up another. I think he's trying to build up another head towards the glide, but I think he's been dropped. So 10 and 5 presently the kill leader, and he's going off. Fluxx Nitro, Ricochet Darche shaping up to be another very interesting control.
Yeah, and Cyrox going to succeed where CBiz failed. He's going to manage to be fully streaked out with that 6 kill streak, and that could be really important for Fluxx Nitro potentially in this round, because you can see Lakush over towards the B point. Kane's already on the A point as well. So now the boys of Fluxx Nitro, this is where they kind of get torn here. They need to try and commit to something, and it looks as though Object is going to be trying to commit over towards this B point, but just gets tagged up by the nade, and the bullets come through from Lakush. We are going to see the glide bomb of Cyrox already invested in it. Will take him off of that B point. So already a large part of the arsenal of Fluxx Nitro has now been invested. They will stabilize for the time being, and it's a good little break there from both points there, Pablo. They were in a position where it looked difficult, but again, we've been surprised by either team really being able to regain, and Fluxx Nitro on this occasion able to do it.
Yeah, and I think Ricochet Darche's approach towards this A site's probably not the best. They've kind of flooded down middle, and that's just allowed Fluxx Nitro to get their angles across beach and across the railgun, and they're going to get tagged up one more time. You can see players 1 and 2 G get an Object, going to get a couple of free kills, and look at number 2 in Object. They should probably realise that they're spawning slightly differently, but no one's going to turn around and look for that flank, and this could be a problem right now. It's going to be, you know, they're going to need a little bit more time. I think number 2 is potentially going to push through. They might just get the A. No, it's not going to happen, and we're going to see another team wipe. As we do see big kills from Lakush, though, this is going to be important. 16 seconds remaining, and they still need a partial part of A. So this is going to be a big push right now, and there's going to be a lot of responsibility on that first entry. Yeah,
and big kill coming through from Kane. So they do open the door to get on the point. And Wake is just going to be keeping an eye over his 2 teammates, and they do manage to get that additional minute on the clock. So a big moment there for Ricochet Darche, as the life count is still close, but Object, what a snap. Straight on towards CBiz up the top of the boat, and Wake is going to manage to reply with a kill onto him, but you can see the aggression of Kez at the moment, just pushing out this right-hand side of the map. They have got Kane going all the way round the back. He's going to fall, though, as they manage to win yet another engagement, and Lakush going to have one surely any second up against Kez here, and Lakush, nice work, spots him, opens up a gateway now to push down that left side. As and when he's going to wait for his teammates, we'll have to wait and see, but kills at the moment going in favour of Ricochet Darche. And now it's going to be down to the boys of Fluxx Nitro to try and defend this B point. Lakush on the outer lane. Nice shots again from Kez from distance as he manages to grab his 8th kill at the moment. He's gone a bit quiet, but an all-important kill there for the boys in red, Pablo, because now all of a sudden, Ricochet Darche, although it was looking good for them, they're now, the clock is ticking against them. Every single second is going to count, and it's 5 versus 5.
Yeah, we're seeing this big defensive play as well, and we see it time and time again. It's almost an inverse of what happens over towards the S&D, where you see a lot of attacking rounds going the way of the attacking team. Great plays by Kane, though. He's going to come up behind. He's potentially going to get tagged up by that player in Fluxx Nitro, able to bring one onto the board in what we thought would be a close control. These guys have been toe-to-toe in their respawns. Although the S&D ended up being quite dominant, it could have gone early doors.
Oh. You there, Pabs? I think your microphone's just died, unless it was me. Can you guys still hear Pabs, or is it just me tripping out? It's not coming through on the voice thing. One second, let me see if I can give him a call again, see if it's working. You still there, Pabs? I think Pabs might have sat on his microphone. I can't hear what he's saying. I mean, for the time being, we'll wait and see what Pabs says. But if you can hear me, Pabs, I can't hear you, brother. It's not coming up with your audio either in OBS. But regardless, the boys of Fluxx Nitro, 4 in a row now for Kez as he's looking for one more for that potential glide bomb. So another important kill coming through, and nice work by Kez. Manages to grab yet another one. He's still one away from the strafing run, but that all-important glide bomb has now been obtained. Wake is going to try and work his way in towards the hill. The shots, maybe a little bit of a mishap there, but he manages to get the kill onto Chica nonetheless. So really good work from Wake. They've still got Object over towards this side, and with Cyrox looking over the top of him, this is looking a little bit bleak for the boys of Ricochet. Darch over towards this B point. As Cyrox and Kez still working this one, and Kez another couple of kills come through for him as he manages to push out to yet another 3 streak. And the boys of Fluxx Nitro getting more progression, but there's a big one-on-one that number 6 in Seabiz is able to win. Cyrox is still lurking over towards his top gun, and while all this madness is going on, Objects manages to win an important kill over towards the A site. It looks as though the death of Cyrox is pretty much inevitable, and he has gone. Oh, Pabs. One sec, let me just message him, just so we know. Right, hang up and reconnect. There you go. Apologies for that, guys. It's been a right little technical difficulty evening, this one. So now, Fluxx Nitro. Still with 22 lives, currently leading by 4. And that A point has now been secured, so they've got a huge chunk of time to try and work some magic here over towards the B point, and a nice couple of kills, so 2 dead already. Surely we're going to start to see some potential aggression anytime soon over towards the B point. The Cyrox is going to slide out. Kez is still nearby with him as well, so these next couple of kills could be really big in the grander scheme of things here. Both teams obviously holding their defensive sides, but Fluxx Nitro in the best position that we've seen to take an offensive one, and nice work. Again, Chica, Cyrox, both combined for kills, 2 dead, and that progression is still coming through. There's more shots coming in from Object, manages to grab another kill. There is still a man in top boat, and that man in Seabiz is going to be looking for more picks, but meanwhile, it's still going down over towards this boat side. Over towards the beach, and they are going to invest some streaks here. And Cyrox, oh, a bit of a misplay there. He's only going to cut down Kez, so that's really not going to pay off there. As a big gunfight goes down, and Cyrox loses it. And I tell you what, if that happens to be an important kill, Fluxx Nitro, they are going to kick themselves for that one. The cushion Wake still on the point. The tick is now down, so 17 lives plays 7. It looks as though Fluxx Nitro, their blushes will be spared by the fact that they are now 9 lives in the lead. Number 3, Kez, onto the point he goes. He's looking for Lakush, but good work there from Kane just to guard him while he was on the point. Object still hunting in and around. It looks as though they might just be playing for picks here. They've still got a minute to work with here with the boys of Fluxx Nitro, just by getting the progression over towards the B site. It has given them a much bigger window to try and see out the remaining kills that they're going to need to get. But now Wake, important first engagement, takes down Kez. He's going to try and get away with his life as well, as Cyrox looks to try and shout out onto him. Nice work there from Wake. Manages to grab 1 kill with the pistol. They're still on 5 lives here, and I'll tell you what, with 30 seconds left, Fluxx Nitro, they are making a bit of a meal out of this. As he's just going to invest the glide bomb here. Yep, I think he realises the importance of this one, so he's going to probably go for the man inside the hill, and he is going to land it right on the noggin of Lakush. So now there's the doorway they needed. Can the kills come through? There's 1, there's 2. Number 6 in Seabiz is going for a bit of a quick flank here. And I'll tell you what, if he picks off these players, this might be important. There's 1 for him. There's going to be another on the left, but Cyrox holds strong. Lakush is going to try and take down a player as well. Nade out. Can he land it? The progression coming through is still a 1 versus 9 here. I don't think he's going to manage to get it done, and he's not going to be able to. So the boys of Fluxx Nitro, they are going to manage to take that round and go 2-1 up. Really big moments there coming through from the boys in red. And I still can't hear Pablo. So I have no idea why. Oh, are you there, Pabs?
We just spent like the last. Have I just been casting like play-by-play on my own with to no one for like 5 minutes?
You probably have, because I've been doing it on my own because you weren't here.
Because I didn't know where you were. I did the same thing, so it'll be interesting to see who was actually being heard.
I think, well, the chat was saying that you disappeared, so I assume they were just listening to me babble on for what was a
I just had an
considerable
awesome
amount of time.
5 minutes of some of the greatest play-by-play that Wales ever heard.
You got the practice in, brother. That's what we need. And but I mean, I'm interested to get your thoughts on that round. Obviously, you didn't hear what I was saying, but what I was kind of leading on to was Fluxx Nitro. They almost let that one slip right towards the end. They actually got forced to use obviously that glide bomb from a man in Kez, and yeah, it was getting a little bit messy, but they managed to get it done nonetheless, just about.
Yeah, I think you've got to look to the fact that earlier in the previous round, Kez had just started to really feel his gun a little bit better. He got that shot on Ricochet in the round that tied things up, and then from then on, he's gone from strength to strength. So he was able to get the glide bomb, and I think at 35 seconds, they were just like, yeah, invest it. We really, really do need to get into the lead. This is a position that regardless of how strong Ricochet Darche are, I just think in terms of kind of their stock and relevance in the scene, I think Fluxx Nitro were like, we really need to be beating this team. We go quite deep in 2Ks, so this is where we need to be. If we lose this, we've potentially got more difficult games to come along. So yeah, Fluxx Nitro just wanting to get it out, and you can see Chica investing now. So huge plays across the board from Fluxx Nitro, and they did well towards the end, but you're quite right, they did nearly throw it away.
Oh, now Ricochet Darche still with Lakush on the point, and Kane going to be looking over the top of him. MP40 out. A couple of windies there actually coming through from Kane. They will finally get the kill as Lakush manages to combine for the full-man wipe there, and Lakush has got a glide bomb here as well. So this B progression is coming through really quickly. Nice work from Kane to grab yet another kill. And it looks as though the B point has now been secured first again. So now let's see whether the boys of Fluxx Nitro can do what Ricochet Darche did in the round previous. And nice work by Chica, just mopping up the remaining players over towards the point. And I suppose Fluxx Nitro need to kind of take a page out of the Ricochet Darche book here, Pablo, because they're going to have to hold from the less preferred point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they've got, Fluxx Nitro have got the advantage as well. They've got 5 life advantage. That, their gun skill just absolutely coming through to the fore. Look at Chica on a 30 and 23. And we've got Cyrox 27 and 20. But more importantly, Kez has gone from being in an absolutely subordinate position in the game to almost catching up to both these players. So Kez absolutely fired up. And this could be a problem for the team in purple, who are presently just shedding players, all the time. Ricochet is going to try and force this player off, potentially not going to connect, and you're going to see Kane, get the kill. Now that was a nice glide, Kane there just to get the kill. Did he get tagged up? No, I think Cyrox actually killed him, so yeah. I need to reiterate that. There was a big kill there, so Fluxx Nitro, doing it really, really well. Seabear's going to try and bring in a bit of ordnance, but a 10 lives to 2 with only 18 seconds on the hill, probably not going to be enough to be able to turn things around, and I would suggest Fluxx Nitro potentially going to take it 3-1 major, and that could be, that, as you talked about earlier on, that big turning point in the game.
Yeah, big round, big map. And Fluxx Nitro, they now take the lead in the series 2-1. So a pretty commanding performance there from the boys in red, as they now take the lead in the series. And now we're going into a hard point, Pablo. Obviously, the boys of Fluxx, they managed to take the first one. So if you're a betting man, you're probably considering that these boys will probably take the series on this one, unless Ricochet Darche really gets something going in this one.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see the players in Fluxx Nitro just start to heat up. We're going into a much smaller map than Berlin. I think it's probably going to be one of their favoured. It really lends itself to a team who rotates superbly and really effectively, which they did in Berlin. It probably, in fact, was one of the reasons that they were able to take the time away from Fluxx, and it's going to be super interesting to see just how the team Ricochet Darche are going to respond to that first hardpoint defeat ultimately, because they can probably write off the other 2 games. They've won this S&D. They kind of got dominated in control, so this is a good opportunity for them to make, and that's on the flip side as well. That hyper aggression from Ricochet Darche might come to the fore, as well. So there's a good opportunity for both teams to do well. You would just suggest the momentum obviously in favour of Fluxx Nitro. So yeah, and especially if Kez is firing on all cylinders like he is right now.
Yeah, so Fluxx Nitro now 1 map away from taking, I think this might be their first win in the division. I can't remember. Obviously, we haven't been able to cast every single game. Hopefully, we can reach out to Prezi and kind of get like a group update, especially some point this week, because it'll be interesting to see kind of where all the teams are lying, obviously, after last week's action. Nonetheless, it's going to be an important win for both sides, as we are just waiting on Mr. Kane at the moment just to quickly thought something, and then we can go into map number 4. But yeah, we're kind of going into now a realm, Pablo, on Tuscan, where you're looking to those SMG players again a little bit more than we have done on the previous maps. Obviously, with the Berlin and the Gavutu, they're more kind of AR dominant, I suppose you would say, and obviously the pacing is a little bit slower. But now we're going into a Tuscan where it's just kick, bollock, scramble on some of these hills, and you look into the boys of Fluxx Nitro, especially like those fast-paced players like Kez, to really start to make an impact on this series now and maybe get this one done and dusted in map 4.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be like that opportunity for a player who does tend to take over games, you know, regardless of what level. He does tend to be the player that just comes and goes to the fore and grabs the game by the throat. And we saw that towards the end of that previous control. We saw him just, you know, start to go from being at a point he was like 9 and 14. He ends up being like 26, 27 and 23. So he ends up coming, you know, really good towards the end. And it's a huge opportunity for the Fluxx boys just to see this series out, he would suggest. But again, I just can't write off Ricochet Darche because they have played relatively well throughout the very first start of the series. Great S&D, they were almost toe-to-toe, you would say, in the first hard point. But again, I don't know whether consistency is an issue or whether that ability to maintain the pace and throughout a whole series at this level. So that's the other problem. The Gavutu control, if we were to go by that, I would probably say they're a little bit out of breath.
Yeah, and obviously, just something as well we can actually chat about is we've got a busy week tomorrow and Wednesday, I think it is, for the elites. So just a quick shout out to you guys. We won't be streaming from either my channel or from Pablo's, as we do have the elites going on this week, next week, and I think it might be one day the week after, because it's Tuesday, Wednesday in the evening. So obviously, you guys, if you do want to have a look at how those unfold to see Europe's finest on the screen, then I think it is twitch.tv/WeAreClutchGG, for one word, and then WeAreClutchGG2. Whether or not me and Pablo are casting, I don't believe we are. I think we'll be on the old obsing work with the cameras, but be sure to head over there and keep an eye on the elites, because they will be mixy as usual. But I'll tell you what, Pabs, at the moment it's kind of like a case of, I mean, it's observing for elites and casting for challengers or ACCL. It's like, take your pick at the moment, because we've got so much overlap between the two. It feels like ACCL is almost bordering the elites now, obviously without the Spanish lads and Stevie Vortex and kind of some of those teams, but we're slowly starting to see that overlap now from really, really top teams in Europe starting to enter this kind of realm. And these two teams in Fluxx Nitro and Ricochet Darche, obviously they could potentially be coming up against the likes of Luti or kind of Rafi, Grad, those kind of lads, and try and demonstrate what they've got in their locker.
Yeah, absolutely. This is their opportunity to do something like that as well. Apologies, mate. I literally paid zero attention as you reminded me to fill the schedule in for the. I was like, I thought I'd already done it this morning, but it must have been like you must have.
Yeah, there was another one.
And I was like, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, that's it's entirely right though. It's a great opportunity and they need to take it with both hands. But again, this is they've got to get through this week and you know, potentially get through the next few weeks. It's going to be really exciting period of time, and the elites back you know, week to week. It's going to be, you know, high pressure, high stakes games. So you know, we're very excited regardless of whether we're casting or observing. It's just always interesting, you know, to see. In fact, observing can be just as interesting in terms of, you know, getting the opportunity to see the strategies and how these players play. Plus you get to kind of like back them up a little bit more in your own mind. So big performance. We see that the usual standard though from P1 on Tuscan hardpoint, as the team that spawns over to the left get a nice solid chunk of time, and it's down to Ricochet Darche to try and push through middle. But number 3 Cyrox 4-0, just causing absolute misery in the back of church, trying to get the pre-fires in major, but he's going to get tagged up before that glide. And it's been a pretty standard P1 so far.
Yeah, number 8 and Kane is going to look to try and fly out and get a bit of contest time, because as you mentioned, Pabs, that is a huge chunk of time that the boys in red have managed to accumulate off of P1. That scrap time going to put them pretty much 40 points clear right off the rip. So Ricochet Darche going to be banking on the fact they can hold this P2 rotation. We've seen it a fair few times where teams have held really well on the P1, and then all it's taken is one clean break in towards the P2, and all of a sudden that scoreline is an incredible deficit. But Wake out the back, only able to take down one. Number 6 in Seabiz looking to try and mop up the pieces, able to grab one kill. Kez is just lurking nearby, and he has Chica near him for the bait. Chica, the bait, is going to get dropped, and Seabiz trying to play his life here at the moment. Does well to get away from the onslaught of players that are flooding in towards him at the moment, and he's going to try and get the trade, but Object just wipes through all 3 of them. 3 in a row. Kez is on a 4, and I'll tell you what, Fluxx Nitro do exactly what you'd worry if you're a Ricochet Darche fan. They push through, and now they're in a good position to get a good amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at that number 2 there, Chica, he's about to make his way around. So what work Ricochet has done is potentially going to get tied up. Number 4,
Kez.
Kez as well. Has he just changed guns and then bodied someone? Absolutely insane plays there from Kez. He's not content with the 1 gun, he'll 2 gun, yeah, and he'll swap between. So huge plays right there. And you again, Fluxx Nitro just looking superbly strong right now. And we were worried that they would take this momentum from the control and bring it straight through to hardpoint. And what are we seeing? Huge scores across the board. Ricochet trying to do everything he can, but right now, Chica and Kez are just absolutely going off to just decimate this team, and it's a 30-second advantage. But you would say, looking at the scores outside of maybe Kez on the 6-1, Ricochet, Darte haven't slouched in the kill feed. They have not slouched in any way, but they just can't convert it to time right now, Major.
Yeah, and they're going onto a hill, which arguably is one of the more difficult to actually get a huge amount of time, even if you've got the man out the back, which they do. Currently, Fluxx Nitro in Chica, and he is just going to trade places actually with Lakush, and Lakush makes him pay for missing even just a couple of shots. Now can't have Cyrox. Whoop, little bit windy there, needs to close the window. Is going to take down one onto Lakush. Wake is still going to be on the hill. The Cyrox and the boys do manage to make that work, and an important 10 seconds to push the lead out even further. So we'll see whether or not they can just try and bank on their aggression as Chica gets another important kill over towards the new hill. Wake going to be dead to rights there as Cyrox pushes down this field side of the map. Manages to grab 1 kill, but those purple arrows still locked out the back, but nice shots again from Cyrox, and another important kill as he looks for more. There's another onto Kane, and he is just wrecking absolute havoc inside the hill, and Fluxx Nitro, they break in again.
Oh, it's disgusting what he does in field. That should be strictly for a post-watershed kind of deal. Absolutely going off in the back, just decimating players. Lakush again, just trying to do all the work he can to come over and try and push them out of top tier. The kill feed finally going the way of Ricochet Darche. It's gone nice and purple, and we are seeing them getting some time, albeit only 20 or so seconds. And still they're trying to push through for Fluxx Nitro, not giving up any time, and they're going to put them under immense pressure for as much, of the hill as possible. And potentially as we rotate round to one of the more interesting kills in the game, it is going to be Fluxx Nitro potentially about to storm through, and a big job there for number 8 in Kane.
Yeah, Kane is absolutely riddled with players around him. He is going to be able to get some shots in. Chica's going to look to try and mop up a couple of people as well, as Wake manages to grab 2. Lakush helps him drop the 3rd, so good opportunity now for Ricochet Darche on this hill. And already number 1 in object, he is going all the way round the back to try and make the play, and with 40 seconds on the clock, and that stun just going past him, he manages to pick off 1, snaps onto the 2nd as well. And the boys of Fluxx Nitro at the moment, they are just having punches in bunches as they try and work some more time on this hill. Chica locking down his respective lane, but he is going to get shot on the side. Oh, I thought he was going to absolutely violate Kane there. It was Cyrox who manages to get another kill to drop Wake as well. And still a bit of a standoff inside the hill, but number 7 Lakush going through the bottom side of the hill, might be able to grab more than 1. There's 1 onto Kez, another 1 in object, but object at the moment, he is not missing a bullet. 4 in a row, 1 away from streaks, and if he manages to get this glide bomb and his team rotate efficiently, Pablo, on this next hill, this is going to look a bit dangerous for Ricochet Darche because they're already trailing by 40.
Absolutely, and we've seen some unreal plays, and there is object getting his glide. He's 16 and 10, but look at that time major as well. Not only the kill leader for his team, but the time leader as well. So that proves, he's not only holding effectively, but he's breaking effectively into hills. Object going to drop on Wake as well, and it's been a superb performance from the young player right there. And a great performance all round. But Major, it's only a 30-second lead for all those heroics. You've still got Kez on a 6 and 9. He has got a solid minute to build. But if you just got him more involved, this would be a much wider gap. And Ricochet Darche have done really, really well to stop the bleed from consistently being, over 60. But right now, it is, Fluxx Nitro on the ascendancy. They are taking the requisite time from each hill. And you've got to think that Church Hill felt like it went on for ages as it went back and forth. And then we're in P1, and we're nearly over, and we're nearly into P2 in this next rotation. So this has been a wild Tuscan so far. Still plenty of time for Ricochet Darche to come good, but I would suggest Fluxx Nitro right now in the ascendancy.
That would have been perfect if it was control. You can say Ricochet with the Ticochet, because they managed to get another one. It's weird, isn't it, when you cast over the things that your brain will sometimes come out with, or in our case, lack of brain. But
yeah, definitely on my case.
The voice of Fluxx Nitro at the moment, still looking to try and push this lead out, as Lakush is going to have a big gunfight in the back, but Object and Chica combined for 2 kills, and Kez at the moment, I can literally imagine, I can picture him He says it all the time about getting that objective time. He sometimes refers to himself as like a hill dog, as if he has a struggling game. But he's doing what he needs to. He's soaking up the time. Seabiz is obviously going to rattle the momentum just a little bit with a couple of kills. But Object at the moment, he is just absolutely frying every single individual gunfight. He just seems to be winning. And even if there's a player there for the trade, you never even know if the second man is going to win it. But Lakush with a big couple of kills. But you're looking over towards this hill, Pablo, now. And this score deficit at the moment, Ricochet, Darche, they need to rotate efficiently. But more importantly, they need to hold off the wave of players. It looks as though Kane's going to be the first man to do so, and he does it.
Yeah, absolutely. They absolutely need to get, you know, this first break is all important. This first kill on this wave of players is super important. You can see they've invested 2 to tiles, and they've got both players as Lakush goes huge there, and that's going to be a massive moment, but they're not getting any of the time. And with 15 seconds already, you know, allocated off the kill, this has been a problem. Number 2 there, Chica just strolls through with kills, and that's going to be number 1 objective straight onto hill time. So again, this is about that commitment, and Ricochet Darche just did not get a foot on the kill. As we see, the strafe comes in,
big kills,
destroys Wake. And again, as it's Seabiz, you know, you're looking at a player we're looking to go off really well is Seabiz, and right now that is not happening for him. And Kez just appears to be warming up. He's had a few kills over in the last 2 rotations, but Fluxx Nitro just look like they are on fire right now, Major.
Yeah, and the point difference at the moment isn't enormous, but it's now in a time of the game where it's going to be very, very difficult for Ricochet Darche, because they need to hold pretty much a strong 60 seconds to be back in with a shout of this map and bring it back to evens. Number 6 in Seabiz is going to be out the back. Cyrox, nice shots to take down 1 in Wake. They've still got Kane inside the hill, and Lakush is just going to help him out, just keeping an eye up top. And nice work again from Cyrox, just playing his position smartly. Kane's inside the hill, going for the challenge to him, and Cyrox wipes down 3. So already the pacing that is coming through from Fluxx Nitro at the moment, Ricochet are just really struggling with it, as Cyrox, oh my god, he is human after all, almost manages to wipe down almost 2 lots of players. But Seabiz answers back with a huge amount of kills, as he's now on a 6 streak, fully streaked out. And Ricochet Darche looked to pretty much a perfect hold almost off this hill. And if they didn't get those kills, if Seabiz didn't get that, that would have been really, really difficult, because Fluxx Nitro, they're still holding time, and it's slowly starting to whittle down.
Yeah, you've got to look up as Object's getting that huge 4-piece in church. Seabiz is somewhere else just decimating his fellow players. So huge plays on both sides. Again, there is a disparity between about 60 seconds between the 2 teams. So despite the heroics of Seabiz, that's going to maintain. And we can see already Fluxx Nitro back on the kill that they were so successful on in the previous rotation. So Lakush needing to go big. He needs to get that kill to lower stairs. It shows you how important it is to have that push. But Seabiz goes off in the hill. Can anyone stop him? Is he going to save Darche? The nade. Finally, Curse of the Caster comes back as we see Chica and Object. This is a nade-packed hill, and any hill kittens that do decide to reside there are going to end up in pieces, as we've just seen. But 226 plays 172 Major. Ricochet Darche, you know, doing their best, but still a lot of work to do.
Oh, and Seabiz has had him air there, because he's naded his own teammate, and he's not won the engagement. So now Object still soaking up time, flying around the corner, but Wake isn't going to have any of that. There's I think Chica has just disconnected his controller because he just started spraying across the side of the wall. So he won't be able to win any more gunfights. Lakush is now on a 5, I believe, unless that was absolutely lying to me. We'll just double check. No, he did manage to get a glide bomb. So now Ricochet Darche, they do have quite a lot in the arsenal. They've got 2 streaks on Seabiz, but nice work there from Wake with the SMG. You don't tend to say that often, as he manages to grab some all-important kills. Wake now showing what he can do with the SMG. He's got a couple more gunfights, though, to win. Ricochet Darche going to rely on him as the first wave of defense, and he manages to take down 1. Kez, though, with the nade, able to open it out, but nice work from Seabiz. There's 1, there's 2, and Ricochet Darche at the moment, they only need around 45 points, but they can't really afford Fluxx Nitro much more time. But this has been a perfect P1 from them so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have got to get all this time, and then they've got to commit so well over to P2, and you can already see Fluxx Nitro getting set up not only to get the P2 spawns, but to absolutely cause murder on this P1, to get the contest in and cause as many problems. And you're going to see number 7, Lakush, already heading over, but the kill feed goes red, and Fluxx Nitro are going to be thoroughly prepared to get potentially 12 seconds. This first break, all important right now for Ricochet Darche. Seabiz is going to invest the glide. It's all important. He does manage to get Kez. We see another player drop, so it's going to be a big moment. But who's on the hill with 240 to 227? It is going to be an absolute contest going down, Major. This is going to be mental.
Trades, and more trades at the moment. There's another one. Kane's not able to win it, though, but now can Seamus go huge. He takes down one, he takes down the second, but he needs to touch the hill. Oh, he's on the hill, but he's not going to get it in time, and unfortunately, even with those efforts right at the end, Fluxx Nitro, they take the hard point, 250 to 228, and more importantly, Pabs, they take the series 3-1.
Absolute work from Fluxx Nitro. They look dominant throughout, and Team Ricochet, again, we talk about this pace, and you know, throughout the middle portion of this game, they went back to this kind of slower pace that they play. Only when it really mattered that they go back to being toe for toe. Seabiz gets energized, Wake gets energized, Ricochet gets energized, but it's not enough. Fluxx are already playing at that pace, and then they're able to see the round out, and it's going to be 3-1 to the boys from Fluxx. And Team Ricochet, really, you know, the gun skills there, you know, the core mechanics are there, their core understanding of the game is there. They just need to execute it that little bit quicker and not be maybe as panicky as they have been when they've played these games. Great S&D, but Fluxx Nitro come out on top, and deservedly so.
Yeah, so it is going to be the boys in red, Fluxx Nitro. They managed to come out on top, 3-1 in the series, but we had some really good maps in that one. Obviously, the control, especially the Tuscan as well, coming right down to the wire. Unfortunately, the boys of Ricochet, they aren't going to manage to get anything out of that series. A really good performance, though, from those boys. And we do have another series this evening, guys. It is due to start in around 5 minutes, and that is going to be Corrupt Light. They're going to be back against ICG Takeover. I will quickly just make sure get the replays ready and sorted for you guys. Just give me a second. Fingers crossed it works. We don't get stiffed by this as well. Yes, perfect. Cool. So what I'll do, guys, is we will just have a quick break between now and the next game, which is going to be yet another ACCL Super League banger. Fingers crossed between Corrupt Light and ICG Takeover. So if you need to grab some food or grab a drink, feel free to do it now, because we will just cut to a short break, and I'll quickly shout out as well Rudy, SJ Cod, Dellers, Norman, Catalyst, and Chucker with the follows. Thank you very much, guys, for all your support. And yeah, we will be back in approximately, I'd say, about 4 or 5 minutes. And me and Pablo will produce some of the finest waffle before we go in towards our next series. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in just a bit as we sort out some graphical bits, and we will have our second series ready to go in a short second.
I'll be back in a minute.
lights are painting the street. It's too early in the morning to talk. Silence is nice to me. Fast cars are passing by as time decided to move. We have been down up high. I've got nothing left to lose. When you look at me, seeking for the answer, falling on your knees, and just surrender. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, lost, lost. I just surrender. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost on the sidewalk. Traffic lights are painting the street. It's too early in the morning to talk. Silence is nice to me. Fast cars are passing by as time decided to move. We have been down up high. I've got nothing left to lose. When you look at me, seeking for the answer, falling on your knees, and just surrender. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, lost, lost. I just surrender. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, 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 lost. We are lost, lost. I just surrender.
try to break. Up in the air every time is it your smile, is it your ways? No, it won't work out. Should've known better. It never works out. Every time I got a bad habit of loving you. Falling in love so easy for the things that you do. I've got a bad habit of loving you. I gotta Oh, you're walking here and dropping names. You're just a habit I can
Recognised sooner. I recognised earlier this time. Apologies, guys. I was talking, nothing was coming out. I'll try it again. We're back. Game 2. Corrupt Light up against ICG Takeover. We saw Corrupt play yesterday, is what I was saying. But we've got a team in ICG Takeover that we don't know much about. The second time of asking, perhaps. We got there in the end.
You can ask me as many times as you want, brother. Yeah, ICG Takeover, an unknown quantity to an extent. I mean, it's always a difficult one when you've got a player called Clarky, because we've probably cast over about 60 Clarkies in the last year. It's a popular name. Fizzy does kind of ring a bell, but not enough to bring back any memories. And Cole and Dodge, I have no idea about. So another unknown quantity heading into the Super League. Unfortunately, we know everything there is to know about Corrupt Light. Obviously, 4 players who are very capable. Yesterday, in particular, Swogy and Afraidable going absolutely huge, but not huge enough to see them through to the win. They did have some spectacular competition to overcome, though. This time round, we just don't know which way it's going to go. ICG Takeover could be the next Young Phenoms, or they could be the next, yardstick for defeat. By which we now measure, what was the Don Rudy performance for appalling games. So ICG take over the unknown quantity. Let's just see how they get on. Again, have we got maps though, Major? That is the big question.
Yes, we do, and we have the graphic as well. So here we go, Pabs. I mean, feast your eyes on that triple Tuscan. We've got another triple Tuscan in this one, and a double Berlin. So sink your teeth into this one, because maps 1, 2, and 3, they are going to be mixy.
Man, I mean, we know it's going to be coming, but 3 Tuscans on the bounce, no separation, and they chose a Tuscan control. So a Tuscan control even. So oh, that's a wild one, but I suppose we got a reasonable map in terms of its size and its pacing, and then we head straight into kind of one of the slower maps in the game where we get this huge strategy. So if we do get to a map 4, maybe it is going to mix things up, but right now, who knows which way it's going to go. But this is going to be a big task. We know, particularly for ICG Takeover, they know what they're up against. They'll have seen these players before, and it should be interesting just to see if Swogy and Afraidable in particular. Resto also had a good game, probably not going to miss him out, but Swogy and Afraidable were very good yesterday. Really on points and having lost games.
And they were playing, obviously, one of the best teams in Europe, arguably, when they played, or they were Team Toki, but Clutch Rain. So everyone knows who those boys are, and to push it towards that Game 5 like they did, it was a hell of a series, that one. If you guys did miss it, I recommend you go back and watch it. It was an absolute banger. But yeah, they've got another outfit in ICG Takeover. We say we don't know a huge amount about them, but they're obviously going to be looking at these boys and thinking, right, okay, well, if we can push Clutch Rain to a Game 5, surely they're going to have some confidence going into this one.
Yeah, all 100%. I mean, was it the control that was completely wild? There was like a 3-0 control, maybe 3-2 control, sorry. And it was just, even though it was 3-2, it was still kind of like a massively strong performance from Corrupt Light. And again, they had some moments where they just looked, even in the S&D, they got beaten in the Berlin S&D. I think it was 6-4. It was still a really good performance. They did kind of go off the boil a little bit towards the end of the last S&D. but just, you know, having awesome moments, but really maintaining the numbers more than anything else. They didn't really slip off too heavily in terms of kills, and the pace as well. They maintained good pacing as well. So it should be interesting to see just how they deal with this ICG takeover team. But more importantly, it'll be interesting for us to get an idea of what they play like ultimately. And really, I mean, we don't know. I mean, in terms of players to look out for, obviously we can talk about Resto and the performance he has yesterday. Swogy going absolutely huge in games, and Afraidable being very consistent across the board. In terms of ICG takeover, take your pick. I mean, as a team, it'll be interesting to watch. Player-wise, we just don't know. So obviously the first two games are all important in terms of determining kind of where they are in the pecking order as such.
And obviously something slightly different as well is that they had Broke playing for them yesterday, Corrupt Light, but they've got Devil back in now for this one. So if this is their core 4, which I believe it is, arguably you could make the assumption that they're probably going to be better than they were yesterday if they're playing with a consistent 4. Obviously we know how good Broke is as a player and what he brings to a team. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this team of 4 is going to be able to mesh going into a series where not definitely they need to win it, but it's going to be an important matchup. We've spoken about it a couple of times now as we start to filter down towards the last maybe week and a half of games. Obviously the first 3 weeks being those group games. When you start to drop maybe 1 or 2 games here or there, you need to start thinking, right, okay, well, we actually need to take a series win here. And Corrupt Light obviously dropping the one yesterday, they're going to want to even it out, aren't they? They're going to want to take this one against ICG, against arguably one of the lesser teams that we know a lot about. So they're probably looking at this and going, right, well, if it's a team we're not too familiar with, without having too much of like an egotistical approach, they'll be thinking, right, okay, well, we'll feel a bit more comfortable going into this one.
If Corrupt Light want to, you know, hit that top 4, they need to win this game. You know, there's no if much, you know, buts or maybes. They're going to be coming up against opposition we know for a fact are very good players. You know, the fact that we're not so familiar with these is potentially, you know, a sign that they haven't made it through to the ranks of the players that we would normally see. We don't see them kind of like bopping about the chals and things like that. So there's potential for this 4-man to be the unknown quantity. But this is a game Corrupt Light need to win. They're 1-0 down. They may have got the most difficult game out the way, but this potentially could be a banana skin that they don't want to slip up on. So big moment for the team in red, and we can already see a classic Tuscan P1 as it does look like they're going to get set up, and that looks like a solid setup from the team. And this is going to come down with a quick wipe as well. Cole gets a nice 2-piece Afraidable there in the back though, and he gets dropped by Clark, who are able to just watch it back, and that's been a solid hold. We are going to see the contest go in, but P1 and in particular ICG takeover Major just doing very well so far.
Yeah, Corrupt Light, they are picking off a couple of kills inside the hill as Swogy looks to try and get off and running. We saw he had an incredible series yesterday against the boys of Clutch Rain, so we'll see if he can manage to emulate that here once again. And Resto, strong start from him, 3 kills on the board, and not a huge chunk of time there for ICG. Corrupt Light do just about enough to try and disrupt a little bit of the motion over towards that time, and Clark just lurking up top for the time being. The boys in red are still out towards the backside of the hill. Number 8 in Afraidable is just going to be keeping his head down for the time being, and already gunfights all over the place at the moment. It's a very different kind of approach that we've seen Corrupt Light take towards this kind of this Tuscan Hill. A lot of teams can tend to kind of burrow themselves in, but Corrupt Light, they took the bold approach of pushing out, and on this occasion it doesn't look as though it's paid off.
No, in fact, they were able to take a reasonable chunk of the first part of the hill, but it's not really worked in terms of that longer-term hold, and we're going to see takeover, just to take over the hill as such, and they've done that with quite a plum as well. They've seen the players off from distance, and they've held on to this now for a solid 20 seconds, and they're looking like they're going to be the team they're going to be holding on to it for a bit longer. We're going to see number 8, Afraidable, just try and cause a few problems. Number 3 going to be playing ahead. He does get taken down, so potentially 9 seconds of wastage there. As Corrupt Light just look to ensure that the team from takeover don't get too far ahead, and that's a solid bit of killing as well to ensure the Corrupt Light are able to get this more difficult water fountain hill.
Yeah, Devil just going to be the man responsible for accumulating that time. Clark's going to be a busy boy there. Spots one, but his teammate,
lovely trade,
really helps him out. So a little bit of a maybe the most unintentional bait and switch you're ever going to see, but it works nonetheless. Dogs is able to take down that man in the back, but you can see Devil still just soaking up the time, but Clark manages to land a grenade right aplomb on his head, and now ICG, all of a sudden, those spawns have now flipped. Cole is watching that tile side, and Stobbs is going to be there as well to try and take them down, but good shots there from Devil. Afraidable still on a 4 streak as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on him, because that glide bomb in the grander scheme of things, could be really important. Swogi's going to manage to actually carve through 3 players on the hill. So a really explosive moment there from a man who we saw have a brilliant series yesterday. And Corrupt Light, they are getting quite a lot of important kills, Pablo, but there's still nothing separating these guys at the moment as we rotate over towards the infamous clusterfuck that is that church P, that church hill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a wild one. It's a CQB based site. You're going to see a lot of close quarter action. Afraidable does get the glide. He does get taken down before he can get that 6th kill, but Swogi, again, that player who's looking to consolidate and potentially get another glide for this team. This is going to be a huge moment. Is he going to get the kill? No. Is he going to get it? Yes, he does get the glide. So on a 5 streak, he is going to get tagged up in the back by Clark, who pushes through. But this is a wild hill, and we do expect to see a lot of trades go down. But so far, Corrupt Light did well. They held on to a majority of the time to Water Fountain, and they're having, you know, a solid encounter in Church, and that's just going to give them that time, that small, you know, you would say very slight lead, 4 seconds or so. We do see the boys from ICD take over. That's one of the questions, you know, we wanted to ask at the very start of the game was, are they going to be able to hang in terms of kills? How are they going to play? Well, right now we're seeing very similar scorelines. Not everyone's positive. We're seeing some good scores in terms of time. But right now, Takeover, Major are doing very, very well.
Yeah, Devil and Cole had arguably the longest 1 versus 1 on that point for scrap time I think I've ever seen. Round and round they went on timing time after time on that occasion. But Swogi already going through bottom mid, looking to try and take down a couple of players. There's one for Swogi, looking for the second as well, and that's exactly what he can do. ICG, they are going to get bullied out of the hill temporarily, but you can see these Stobbs holding down the front of the fort, stays alive. Cole's going to be there as well, and you can see Clark already doing exactly what Swogi did as well, just lurking down in bottom mid. He's not going to push through as of yet, but meanwhile, inside the hill, Afraidable cutting down players left, right, and centre. Clark is going to finally be resigned to the fact he's going to have to push in, but there's another one for Afraidable. Pistol, SMG, he does it with both, and that is just a flash of what Corrupt Light can offer.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's 2 away from another streak, having an absolutely awesome game. And 2 of the players we said to watch out for was Swogi and Afraidable, and they're both having an absolutely awesome game. I mean, don't get me wrong, Resto and Devil with a good solid chunk of time between them if you add them together, going very similar in terms of KD. But you know, the question again we talked about, was Takeover going to be good enough to be able to hang? Well, they've done a great job, and not only that, they are in the lead, but they're very similar in terms of KD as well. It is only a slender lead though, and there's plenty of time left as we do hit into this second rotation of hills. But right now it is going to be Corrupt Light who do take the majority of the beginning of P1, and they're well set up as well. We've got number 8 Afraidable going to be causing absolute bother over towards middle, and we've got kind of a very, very standard setup there as the boys in blue look to push from the right hand side, and Afraidable is going to be continuing to cause problems. Finally tagged up as it is going to be Clark who drops him inside Church. But right now, Major, that's well over half of P1 going towards Corrupt Light, and it's not looking like the boys in blue are going to be able to take it anytime soon. But obviously I get forced to eat my words as soon as I say it.
Yeah, Stobbs has done well to get onto the point. He gets another kill as well, so him and Dogs, good work to remain alive for the time being, to allow their teammates to work through and get those all-important kills. And another kill potentially for Stobbs. Nice work there, 4 in a row now for Stobbs, as his teammates are going to be busy for the time being while that rotation is going to go down. And number 7 Resto going to get a fortunate spawn in the back, and the trades come through. Another couple of kills coming through from Mr. Swogi as they look for more. Oh, looking for another kill. Manages to grab what is his 14th as of yet. They're not separated by much at the moment, and Clark's going to grab a couple of kills as well. So much better, and Stobbs fully streaked out. Almost. He's halfway there. Fully streaked out, not as of yet. He's still waiting for one more, and a glide bomb's going to be invested already, I believe, from Afraidable straight in the back. And well, he's not going to get fully streaked out now because Stobbs has just landed a rocket right in his back pocket and takes him down.
Yeah, great play there by the team in blue. The kill feed, almost that of a bot lobby. We've seen quite a lot of kills now going the way of this team in blue. And the big question was, you know, how are these going to play? Are they going to be, you know, the new Whipping Boys, or are they going to be a team with contention? And Corrupt Light right now are just being taken to the cleaners over towards this P2, as they've just dominated each, you know, they've been able to clean through the kill. They've been able to hold on to a good solid chunk of time. And right now, this is about the furthest that we've seen differential between the two teams as we hit that kind of 35-second difference. So huge plays. Stobbs going to drop some more ordnance straight onto the bonnet of Afraidable, and that's going to give them a 40 or so second difference. Corrupt Light, Major, with just so much work left to do, and they've got to look to those players like Afraidable and like Swogi to start not just dropping bombs and dropping kills, but getting time to dodge on the kill as we seek. And who's back there, Major, but Stobbs?
Yeah, Stobbs now one away from Streaks. Dogs didn't quite manage to get it. But he's looking for it, and he manages to do it himself. Oh no, he's actually still not got his glide bomb, so maybe a couple more points are still needed. So he's going to need another kill, and a quick shout out to Mr. Finnick for raiding with 7. Thank you very much, brother. And he'll mark as well with the follow on top of that. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. This is currently map number 1 of this best of 5, and Dogs is going to get taken down. So too is Cole. So the boys of Corrupt Light still trailing by 40 seconds as we go over towards the Churchill. You can see those blue arrows, though, already in waiting. They try and get set up. You can see Swogi up top. Still going relatively strong, but the trades, again, really nice and efficient from ICG Takeover as they look to try and take over the map, and Dogs is doing exactly that. 2 kills come through again. The boys in red still spawning out the back, though, so they have an opportunity to try and punch their way through. Resto's going to grab 1 kill. There's still another man in Colt, lurking in and around the hill. Big gunfight's coming up. Cole takes down 1. There's still a few more players, and the teamwork comes through for Corrupt Light. They managed to make the break, but now the all-important thing, Pabs, they need to stop the waves of blue arrows pushing in because they're coming once again.
Yeah, absolutely, and that kind of like, it's almost a predictable punch. They're gonna get stopped as they push the front of hill, but we've still got 2 players in the side, but 3 players from Corrupt Light are going to be on the hill, and it just shows you how important they feel these remaining seconds are to get them back into the game and reduce that deficit, which was starting to get wider and wider. And again, we see Cole dive into the hill, and he's going to be able to get a solid chunk of scrap time. It's going to be about 12 seconds, so that's going to edge that lead out again to around in about 20 seconds, so well more. So insane 40 seconds, double what my mathematics team Ricochet mathematics for you going off again. And we're going to see this crazy hill that needs to be defended from multiple levels, and right now it is going away with Corrupt Light, but you can't put it past the team in blue to potentially take this. And look, Cole is on 26 and 25, the kill leader in the game with 42 seconds, having an absolute game so far. And Major Takeover taking us by surprise with this performance so far.
Yeah, Devil going to be holding the front. You can see all of the nades that are going to land in his back pockets. There's nothing he can do about that one, as he was incredibly weak. Resto's going to get taken down. You can see Afraidable keeping an eye on the flank, but with only 25 seconds left. Corrupt Light, they still have that tile side spawn for now. They're going to look to try and get a bit of a contest going through. The double stack of blue arrows is still going to be there as Devil takes down 1. Stops, though, looking to try and help him out, but Swogi takes down 1, looking for the second, and good work again from the SMG man himself. He's going for more, going to fly out on that occasion. He's not going to win that one. Devil's got to be careful. He's going to run straight into the site of Cole, but good work to secure arguably the preferred side of the spawns. And now ICG, only 30 seconds remaining for them to take this map, but Corrupt Light, they've got the setup, so it's going to be down to the boys in blue to try and work a push here, Pablo. But as we've seen time after time, this hill is not an easy one to break.
No, not at all. And we've seen, the previous rotation, Corrupt Light did, got the majority of their last chunk of solid time on P1. The rest of the hills for them in that second rotation were just super difficult for them and super challenging for them. So, Takeover did struggle to break this, so they're probably going to potentially, try and contest a little bit, but they're going to start thinking about that P2 very, very soon. It's definitely going to have to be on the minds, because Corrupt Light can't win from P1. It is going to be as close as possible. You're probably going to look at like a 2-4-4. They've spawned out, or they've flanked around in number 4. In Cole does get tagged up, so that's a big performance. And it's going to be about 242. So big work needed to take over now, as Corrupt Light have managed to just charge right the way through, and it largely in part because of their capabilities over towards this P1, which is absolutely wild.
And now Tuscan, what do you do to us? Over towards P2, where we've seen so many crazy series end. Afraidable's going to be here, but the boys in blue, they hold off the first wave of players. But Swogi, can he make the break here? 31 kills currently, looking for more. And the nades coming through. Cole, another important couple of kills come through for him, as he too is on currently on 31. But the boys in blue, they're holding strong at the moment, and they get another full wipe. And with 8 seconds left, I'll tell you what, Corrupt Light have got to go quick here. But you can see Stobbs is just in absolute turret form at the moment. He is not moving. There's another one looking for the third. They're not going to even be able to touch the hill. And ICG Takeover, Pablo, they managed to take the map 1. These boys are here to play.
Stobbs and Cole take over the map, take over our minds, and it is game over if you are Corrupt Light. An absolute performance from the boys in blue. And as you shouted out, Stobbs in full turret mode, 25 and 23, 21 untraded kills. But look at that scoreline from Cole, 45 seconds with a solid 25 kills, of which 21 were untraded. Just a huge performance right there from Cole and Stobbs as a duo. but their takeover looking very, very strong and corrupt. Right, potentially, one down and going into a Tuscan S&D where this team in blue look very, very, very comfortable. This could be a problem for them. They do not want to go into the ACCL Super League second week with a 2-0 deficit. So right now, big moment. Can they regain? I mean, you would say it's a mid-series or kind of close to mid-series regain, but realistically, we're at the very beginning of the Super League. Are they going to need a regain already?
Yeah, wow. There you go. A team that we don't know a huge amount about come through with an enormous statement there. ICG takeover in an incredible first map there. A really good regain. It looked as though the boys in red in Corrupt Light were really going to start to run away with that one, and they did a really good job of holding that P2, which is something that we don't see a lot of teams do, Pablo. That P2 normally becomes an absolute mess when it comes to certain things. Especially when it comes towards the end of the map and players are just throwing themselves at it. But ICG Takeover, I'll tell you what, if you need a strat, you watch how those boys held it, because they held it pretty much solidly the entire duration at the end of that game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the better P2 performances that we've seen, largely in part because of the capabilities of Stobbs. Again, P2 does lend itself to that moment because we usually are at the very, very end of the game, and that is the panicky point. And especially if there's a team as close as Takeover were to winning the game, you're going to see players start to feed. There's that tendency to not want to rush it, kind of flank through Church to try and get the extra, or even flank even further around Church. So people tend to push through tiles, push through top balcony. That's unfortunately where you've got only those two opportunities to really get any time or get close to the hill, and that's just seeing them off in the end. And Corrupt Light kind of run out of plan Bs as such, and time just sees them off in the end. But a great performance from the team in blue, and really, it's great to see now we've got an idea that maybe Stobbs and Cole are the players to look out for and see how they are. But hopefully maybe the other two players that we haven't mentioned as much might have a good S&D as well. But this is a big moment now for Corrupt Light. We know that they're good S&D players, so we'll see how they get on.
Yeah, and Mr. Group's just asking what the map rotation is. It is triple Tuscan, double Berlin. So we're going to be staying on Tuscan for map number 2. If you guys did miss the score of map number 1, 250 to 242 for the boys of ICG Takeover. So in terms of us, Babs, obviously we've came to see what these boys are made of. They've managed to do it. We now look into the search, so another game mode where we can kind of analyse what these boys are made of. I'll tell you what, if they're as good a search as they are in Hardpoint, Corrupt Light, they are really going to be up against it.
Absolutely. This would be a very worrying moment if the boys in blue were able to do a great job. Resto off the rip though with that AR, drops Cole, so it's the first blood, all important first blood. A little bit over aggressive as Swogi dips. He does get 1 kill, and this is going to be an ideal position as he does play this kind of mid area. And again, out window, he reads that really well, and it's going to be Sarge last alive in a 1v4. And we know how difficult the clutch is, mate. It's almost impossible. And the residents of Tuscan treated to another show in S&D.
So that's a clean round there from the boys in red. They had the doubts, and all of a sudden they come through with a really, really solid round. Obviously, Swogi again managing to grab a couple more important kills. And the boys of Corrupt Light now currently leading 1-0 up. So we'll see whether or not this becomes a bit of an attacking tennis round. Perhaps it's obviously one that we tend to see quite a lot of on Tuscan, with the bomb being able to go down quite easily. Not necessarily the easiest thing ever, but it's one where that attacking side definitely is. If you can position and time the players to get the bomb down, as soon as you get it down, that defensive side, they really need to be something special to break it, especially if the other team, for example, are ICG Takeover and they're very clean shooters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Afraidable already with his first blood, and he's able to get a nade over towards Light. It's going to push that player back. Sarge set up nice, though. Again, they weren't really pushed off the rip. Cautious play from the team in red, but they've got the 2 kills, and they've got that kind of bomb control. So it's going to force these players, and they're going to drop almost immediately, and the defuse is going to be on. Great play by Corrupt Light. You would suggest they were kind of perfectly timed that. Not undercautious, not overcautious, getting their picks, and Afraidable probably the hero of the round. Again, as they go 2-0 up, and this is looking like already a kind of back and forth series as we see them go 2 up. This could potentially be a huge slap, and S&D does tend to separate the teams in terms of their capabilities. So right now, Corrupt Light with an opportunity to come back strong.
Yeah, and they've done exactly that. Boys of ICG Takeover haven't really put their foot in the door yet. No kills across all 4 of their players at the moment. So after a strong map 1, they are currently struggling at the moment, and Panning Colt playing info. Nitro over the top. Oh, wow, look at the aggression coming through from Corrupt Light. They want to try and get these players out of here, but one flies around the corner. Afraidable. Oh, he's going to break a couple of ankles. Manages to take down Clark. There is going to be another man just above him. He'll do well to get away with this one, and he does manage to do it. Stubbs in middle map, going to get caught out, and again, more kills coming through for the boys in red. They managed to get some information on some more players, and Dargs is going to get taken down as well. So now it's all on Colt. The 1 versus 3 bomb is going down, so already a round that was looking difficult. It has got more difficult, and they make him pay. And Corrupt Light, wow. Boy, I mean, they're answering all the questions that we had of them now, Pablo. They look untouchable at the moment.
And a crazy middle play, frantic, hectic. I don't know how you would describe it, but plenty of players skating in front of mid-church to get kills. Afraidable comes out on top. And then at the end, you've got that player on takeover. It just looks like he needs to pop his glasses on as he fires bullets directly over the top of Devil towards the back. So was it Resto, sorry, towards the back. And it's 3-0 all of a sudden. And from a team that looks so comfortable in respawn, now looking incredibly windy and a little bit lost in a Tuscan S&D, where Corrupt Light have just looked completely solid. Great performance so far, but look, you've got 3 players, 3-0, 3-0, 4-0. Only Swogi's dropped a life. Corrupt Light looking very, very strong right now, Major. A lot of work to be done from 2 players on a 0 for takeover.
Yeah, Stubbs and Clark now. 2 versus 3 is required. They've got to be careful, though, because Afraidable is going to hit the flank, which it wouldn't shock me if he does it quickly. We've seen the aggression that Afraidable can have. He is by no means...
Get the comms from 3.
Yeah. Probably going to... Maybe... Watch something shortly. Resto's going to be busy. Shots into Stubbs, but nice work there. Good teamwork from ICG as they managed to drop him. These Stubbs now going potentially over towards this B bomb site. Now it's just a question. Can they get the bomb down? Stubbs still looking. Try and work. Good timing to get the bomb planted. It's just a case of when you can manage to do it. Bomb will go down, and Frontline aren't nearby. Hoagie and Afraidable, and they managed to work a retake here. Not necessarily the easiest site with a lot of corners to check. Number 5 Clark gets some info that there's at least one player there. His teammate in Stubbs all the way out in the back. And this is the position that we saw him right at the end of the hard point, actually. And big gunfight's going down, but Clark wins the first one. So now it's all on Swogie. These are 1 versus 2. Spot Stubbs, and Stubbs does not miss a bullet. ICG takeover. They take a round, and I'll tell you what, Pabs, it was an important one. If it ends going 4-0, you do worry for the boys in blue, but good round there.
Yeah, absolutely. And nice, I mean, in terms of a plan B, really nice strategy. They're able to just be a little bit more cautious, play the time, you know, put the seed, plant the seed of doubt in the team of Corrupt Light, get that bomb planted and really nice control. They were fortunate in the sense they did get some information fairly early on, which allowed Stubbs to dip and allowed Cole to dip as well. And a good performance from them and one they should have taken, realistically speaking. But again, 3-1, you would suggest Corrupt Light heavily in the driving seat. We're going to see Darge does get a kill on Afraidable, and that's a big one because Afraidable is obviously the kill leader in the game. So, again, the talisman for Corrupt Light, and this could be another big round for the team in blue, Major.
Well, I'm just keeping an eye on Swogie here. He's managing to just work lanes that a lot of people normally wouldn't be able to. Manages to get an important kill there. There is still another man, if not 2. Clark's going to be another one with Swogie. The reaction time is just absolutely lightning sometimes from this lad, and he manages to get the kill. His teammate gets the other one as well. So, Corrupt Light, they managed to take another round. 3-round cushion has been resumed. 4-1 up now in the search. And they are looking very, very clean on this map, Pablo. They've not really put a foot wrong as far as this one goes.
Yeah, they've been utterly impressive so far. Swogie, with just a real, you know, solid knowledge of movement, he's able to kind of like sweep around the back of church, get these kills. The reaction time just being unstoppable right there. He's 5-2 for a reason. They're both on a 2-sweep between him and Devil, and it's been a superb performance in that sense. Swogie probably needs to kind of transition this performance into the respawn. You feel that if Corrupt Light is able to do that, then they would be able to do a huge fight goes down towards this middle tile section of Major. We're going to see a majority of takeover get dropped, or at least 2 get dropped over towards this this top tiles area.
Yeah, Stubbs and Clark now in a really difficult position. Taking number 2, Swogie making the big brain plays, going all the way around the back, and if he hits this quickly enough, he might be able to catch out these 2 players. Even if they try and wrap it out, it's going to be difficult now. Clark going to try and work through bottom mid, but oh no, number 2, Swogie, there you go. It pays off. It's now all on Clark. He managed to get the angle onto Devil, so good positioning and aggression. Yeets himself off the top of Broken there. reposition. He's got another man in Resto. Relatively close. Smoggy's not playing too close to him either, so... And he gets good timing here. Stoke turns around. Time is he going to get the gunfight? He knows he's there. He flies out, Clark. The aggression comes through. He's just waiting on his teammate. It feels like Resto. He's waiting on Smoggy to try and help him out. Clark is just all over the place at the moment. He seems so unpredictable as he flies through pretty much every single doorway. I think Resto has absolutely no idea where he possibly is, but Swoggy, oh man, if he times this well, should get the kill, and he does. And Corrupt Light, I mean, man, you can't really put a fault on these boys at the moment, Pabs. 5-1 up, and ICG Takeover now need 5 rounds without an answer.
And we talked about, you know, players taking over games and just trying to be as dominant as possible. And we haven't really seen it this evening. We've seen some players go big, but not really like absolutely take over a game. You know, we expected Kez maybe to do it, but Swoggy on an 8-2 right now. He's on a 5 streak in S&D, just absolutely blitzing through this game. His reaction times, you know, unmatched. His gun skills really, really good. And right now, Corrupt Light are feeling the benefits of that, but the rest of the team doing really, really well. No one negative so far, and it's been a solid performance. And you know, ICG Takeover, you know, if they are able to maybe take the other half point and Corrupt Light take the control, this could go to that game 5. But we've got a feel for them because S&D not looking like a strong point for them right now.
Tell you what though, Clark has managed to get some godly timing out the back. He gets the first blood. Afraidable will reply with a kill of his own. They've still got the issue of Clark out here. Need to try and sniff him out quickly. He does manage to get some information as well that there is one top church. Or Cole gonna go for the wide peak, and big pick there from Cole. Takes down Devil. And now 2 versus 3. Afraidable does have the bomb. It's a question of where are they going to try and stick it here at the moment. The B site is clear if they decide to try and work their way over it, but it looks as though they are going to try and commit to the other site. But unfortunately there for Swoggy, he's going to get caught out, so now it's all on Afraidable. 1 versus 3 is required. Jesus, 8 HP. Feels like a laser game. We have to try and dodge it. Now he's going to be stuck in a really difficult spot here. 20 seconds left on the clock. Is he going to try and get this bomb plant over towards B? You can see Clark has just got 6th sense that he's around this area, but Afraidable, so he's going to even try and go for the plant in the end. Looks as though he's playing it out, not giving any more lives away, and not sure whether it's potentially the smartest thing. Pabs, obviously, he's going to try and get the bomb down with not enough time, so he's not going to manage to do it. But again, ICG, they still need 4 more rounds of that, but that was a good start.
I just get the feeling that there was some interesting comms going down, like, yeah, plant the bomb. And he's like, really? And he's going, yeah, plant the bomb. And he's like, but really? And they're like, yeah, it's a bit late now, mate. Planted like 5 seconds ago. But a really interesting performance from Afraidable anyway. He's 7-3, he's 2nd in terms of kill leader on the board. And he has had a superb game. And, you know, if Corrupt Light are able to take this, 6-2 is still a hell of a performance. But, you know, they just gifted ICG Takeover a round just purely through aggression. And again, ICG just about to push as heavily as possible. And they get to, it is going to be a 3 versus 2. And again, with the super aggression from the team in blue, I think they do seem to prosper when they throw the cat among the pigeons as such. And there's going to be a 1v1 as Afraidable there tags it up, and that we talked about his lightning fast reactions, we talk about his ability to shoot, and Afraidable backs it up and he drops an 8-3 in S&D, and across the board really Corrupt Light having an amazing game, Major.
Yep, and they tie up the series. So after an impeccable map won by both teams, that was very, very one-sided there. Corrupt Light looking really comfortable in the search and destroy. And again, Pablo, we've had one team that's taken the hard point, one team takes the search, and now we go into that game mode in that control to potentially be what could be a deciding round. God bless control being back in, so we don't have hard point and search. We can actually separate some of these teams.
I think we could have done with aggressive. We could have done a trip to the beach, though. I mean, Gavutu would have been nice. Tuscan is a beautiful town, but unfortunately, 3 in a row is kind of a little monotonous. But at the end of the day, Tuscan Control is something we don't get to cast over that often. And obviously, we talk about the B site being this like probably the more difficult out of the 4 available zones to get across the 2 maps. Tuscan B is just wild. Obviously, we know there's this kind of staggered elevation. You've got kind of like the entrance from church is slightly elevated to ramp side. You've got kind of like the end of Broken where you've got that kind of archway and stairs you can come through, and then you've got top flat, and that's without talking about the obvious flanks that you can come around the back of church and stuff. So it makes it super difficult to break. It makes it really difficult to defend, and ends up becoming like a war of attrition where we do see a lot of kill feeds. You don't really get that from Gavutu. Obviously, there's definite plays that you can make and a way you can approach it. So surprised to see Tuscan. So hopefully the team that did pick it got very confident and got some solid strategies, and it would be nice to start seeing some really solid strategies in terms of attack, especially on over towards that B zone.
Yeah, so we are now getting ready to jump in towards map number 3. So we've had one Tuscan, we've had another Tuscan, and now we've got one final Tuscan for map number 3. So we'll see who can come out on top out of these two in almost like a mini best of 3 to see who is going to be the Tuscan Raiders on this occasion. So Corrupt Light, they do take map number 2 fairly confidently, 6-2 in the search and destroy, as we just wait for the guys to pick their respective teams. But in that hard point, Pablo, we saw kind of what the boys in blue have to offer. I think that it's just more of a case of they have to try and do it again. I'll just quickly shout out Mr. Avenues and Mark as well with the follows. Thank you very much, guys. And Ashby's asking, are we casting tomorrow's Elite? I don't believe we will be, mate, because I think there is only one stream, and I think Brody, and I'm not sure, it might be proper. Oh, it's shift casting it.
Shift.
Yeah, so we won't unfortunately be casting, but we will be on the cameras. So all that camera work and switching between player, that will probably be myself and Pabs.
There's only me and you that's ticked yes.
Oh, really? Well, it'll definitely be us then, if that's the case. So, yeah, we will be on tomorrow, but we'll just be behind the scenes supporting all the other absolutely amazing casters that they've got over there. There's a big There's a long old line of incredible casters over at Challengers. So as and when me and Pablo do get little snippets of being able to cast, it's kind of it's absolute gold dust for us being able to have that opportunity, and having two cups in a row was an absolute blessing. Oh, never mind. I thought we were going into the game. We're not. The game we got cast, but yeah, no, it's one where you look at it, and we were to get 2 cups in a row. I mean, even the first time we got the cup, we were like, hang about, I think they put us on the wrong part of the schedule. And you were like, oh god, you didn't even look, did you? I think I remember telling you, like, Fabs, have you seen the spreadsheet? And you were like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, we observing again, looking forward to this. Should be interesting to see how August get on. You're like, no, we're casting. I was like, oh, what? Yeah, I've got to form words now. I don't know why I got nervous. I was like, properly couldn't form a sentence to save my life for the first 2 games, but then it kind of all just fell into place, and the second one was really good. But yeah, I mean, it's not like, I mean, we get to cast the best in Europe kind of on a weekly now, thanks to the ACCL. So it's not the it's great. The observing's just as much fun. And any of you guys, when Shift puts the shout out, eventually at some point he's gonna want to expand the potential horizons, depending on how it works. There's still plenty to be ironed out across the whole season. So depending on how it goes, when he does put the shout out, or he does put the shout out, and man, if you're able to use your PC, you stream, you can use OBS effectively, man, you should get in there, because it's awesome. You obviously got like a wide range of history and capability, you know, in that production team, from the likes of us who are kind of like still paddling in the baby pool, right the way up to the likes of, you know, guys who've played the game at the highest level, to guys who casted, you know, across the multitude at the highest level of the tournament, multiple tournaments and multiple games as well. So it's a good, no word of a lie, you learn so much in terms of streaming. It's insane. So yeah, Jacko can testify as well, you know, just how much you learn as you come in. So yeah, it's a good opportunity, but one we definitely don't take for granted. But yeah, unfortunately I got scuppered because I've had a massive couch drama, which is incredibly bored now and never bring up again. But yeah, we're just looking forward to getting back into some Call of Duty this evening.
Oh, Deborah Cast. We're going to have a petition to see if somebody can change the name. Deborah Cast, very, very shortly. Hopefully you get your couch. I'm trying to keep that
hidden, because if my missus gets a few beers in this, she starts getting a bit confident and getting on the mic.
She'll get on the mic and I'll have another partner.
And she just won't know what to say. She'll just, all the little things she's heard me said, she'd start casting. So it would just be like, it'd be laughable, and then it would be weird. Yeah, wouldn't put it past her. But yeah, I think tomorrow and Wednesday are going to just be interesting to see how the newer teams are going to work in terms of the likes of Fudzy and that. Did they get through? Did Skill Train get in?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did. But I don't know how it works with teams that obviously chop and change because they qualified with a different team. They didn't have Fudzy in that one, did they? They had. Oh, hang on. Was it that
Zero.
team? Did they get in? Did they get in with 0? I think they did.
I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to check. I'm not quite sure how it works because I wouldn't have thought teams could change midway through, but it'll be interesting to see regardless. And this is the beauty of why we commentate over kind of these games as well, because we get to see those teams that are just knocking on the door of those bigger games and obviously getting through to elites. We saw the likes of Higgy's boys yesterday get so close and almost managed to do it. And these are kind of the games where we're keeping eye outs on some of these teams that can consistently perform. Obviously JMW's lot as well. You expect them to be there eventually, as and when they'll get there. It's just a question of when, I think, with those boys and the ability they've got. But it's really good to see a lot of these players breaking through, and obviously with the platform that ACCL has now built for a lot of these amateur teams, it wouldn't surprise me if that stat that we saw of, was it 56% of teams or something? It just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah, that will go up exponentially as well, because you've got to consider, we know a handful of players that are potentially in settled teams and are still looking to get into positions, and that they're going to be the players that towards the end of the season. Obviously we saw the likes of Vega and having a really great start to Vanguard, and it then obviously had issues with terms of team cohesion and getting into the right squad and settling teams. So we're expecting to see some other players to start to make that push as well. But right now, obviously, the big handful of players is obviously Higgy and the likes of Kez and that we want to see push in, and they've probably got the greatest opportunity. We've seen how close they are in terms of capability compared to the likes of Beauty's team and Snake's team, and they're very, very close. But again, it comes down to that consistency and their ability to maintain that incredible pace that it's played at. And we talk about, when I talk about pace, I talk about how they execute the strategies, get headies, get set up. They can do that just that little bit more effectively. They commit correctly to old new kills, and all these kind of things do end up making kind of like a huge difference. And just while these guys get those fundamentals down, I was speaking to Luty the other day about it, and he reckons it took him 2 or 3 years of solid playing before he actually understood the core mechanics of the strategy of the game. And that's why he's really surprised when he sees some of these young players just blitzing out the box. In particular, he was really amazed at F-Dot. He was just astounded at his capabilities. And just a good shout out to the work that the ACCL have done, but the work the players have put into it, because it's a tough gig at the end of the day. But Corrupt Light looking to get into this Tuscan control, and it's a new one, but it's not new for us. But we've cast it a couple of times, but not nearly as much as Gavutu, and we do see an enormous amount of trades go down. Clark looks like he's going to enjoy this nice, aggressive, overhyped kind of game mode. So right now, Corrupt Light's going to be a slight life advantage, major, going into that progression towards a slight, only maybe 10% remaining. It does get tagged over, so right now you would say advantage Corrupt Light, just about.
Yeah, Cole just about manages to keep his team's head above the water in that one. We can kind of see already why Tuscan Control is considered the more mental of the two. Obviously, the structured teams you would anticipate with Vito in that Kabuto pretty much 99% of the time. And Cole looking to try and make a bit of madness here. Shots into one, looking for the second onto Resto, and nice couple of kills coming through from Mr. Cole. 4 in a row as well, and he's looking to try and get some beams onto Swogi. The shot's not quite being able to connect at the moment. The boys of Corrupt Light try and still work their way in towards the point, and at the moment, with 43 seconds left, perhaps they've got to be a little bit careful here, because the time is slowly starting to tick away. Obviously, each wave of kills that comes through for ICG Takeover is just going to force Corrupt Light to get a little bit more frantic and try and push into the hill, and at the moment, they're getting cut down one at a time as Dargs manages to grab 2 of his own, but they do finally at least get on the point, but Stobbs is still nearby.
Yeah, I don't know whether Dargs, did he get a 4 streak then? I think he was 1 off maybe the glide, I'm not sure. 26 seconds remaining, they are able to get a foot on the hill. You would suggest they're going to be able to see this 8 minutes over, and it's going to give them 125 to do the rest of the work, and they're going to potentially have to TDM this game. They're 14-0. That is no small feat, because the team in blue have been absolutely toe-to-toe in terms of kills. You've got Dodge going off on a 7 and 4, and Devil, the only one close to him, on 7 and 4 as well. So toe-to-toe in terms of kills right now, 12 all. This is going to be huge kills right now, and the kill feed goes entirely almost, well, 3/4 red, and that's going to be a huge advantage with a minute remaining. It looks like they're going to get settled nice and wide. Big kill. Number 3 there. Resto goes big in the back. 11 and 7, and this is looking very good for Corrupt Light, who were really under the cosh early doors in this round. With only 35 seconds remaining, they've turned this right the way round, Major.
Yeah, and Resto was just such a pain in the back. So 9 plays 5, now going to be 8. As Dogs managed to get a big kill onto Afraidable. Now the question is, when will Corrupt Light decide to push it as a team? You can see they've isolated Dogs a little bit here, and they managed to pick him off. So now no more lives going to be available from Respawn. Can't drop any more. Clark located out the back. There's going to be 2 players here. Afraidable straight through. He goes. Swoggy manages to take down 1, so now they are down to 3. Corrupt Light really starting to turn the burners on here. Stobbs is able to at least get a trade onto one of them. There's still another player down inside. Is he going to get some god timing? No, he's not. So now it's all on Cole. Last man up. He's being tagged left, right, and centre. Swoggy goes for the chow. Gets the kill on Corrupt Light with a good opening round. 1-0 up they go.
Yeah, really unfortunate for Takeover just to get bullied off A. They did try valiantly to try and get the kills and try and, you know, drain that back to 2 ticks, but it's not enough in the end. And then over towards B, they just seem to lose their way a little bit. Just strategically, they just weren't as cohesive as Corrupt Light, who just push through Church and get a nice pinch. And as you say, isolate that player, top Church, get the kill, and then push through. And they did that really, really well. Ends up, you know, becoming about life count, but they look like they were in control, could potentially have taken B as well. So close to losing the round, but they come back nice and strong. And this is one of the things we talk about, Major. It's that consistency right the way through to the death. And right now, Corrupt Light looking solid, and that's a big kill from Devil.
Oh, and he almost managed to get a second one there, Devil. Obviously, the man in place of Broke in this original roster. Nice work, though, by Resto again. Really good work from him with this automaton. He's just locking down the lanes that he needs to, and he's making this a lot more structured than we tend to see. A lot of teams play this. Automaton players going to count their blessings every time they can pick a player off whilst that on a heady. So the SMG player is going to look to try and work some lanes here. Clark being one of them. Up top, takes down Devil. Good opening kill. There's now the opportunity for the Risers to try and push their way in. Cole is going to manage to take Afraidable down as well, and Clark grabs another kill. So now they have an opportunity to pinch on Resto in the hill. They are going to tag him up and back him off just a little bit, but Devil, nice work there. Doesn't miss a bullet. Absolutely fries and gets a second as well. He had no right to win the second one. Just locks onto the other man in Clark. And now Corrupt Light still holding strong. But ICG looks as though being on that preferred side, being able to push up towards that God Heady might pay off for them. But you can already see now Spogy, the man who's already had so many good moments, looking to try and make a pinch and potential flank.
Yeah, he very sensibly dips. Afraidable gets the 2-piece, and he's going to play his life, and that's just going to put that bit more pressure onto the boys of Takeover. With 20 seconds remaining, they're going to need a really big push, and Swogy still being that kind of annoying player in and around. I think they've potentially forgotten about him now, and he's still kind of in and around their spawn, so this could be a big problem. He chooses the wrong way, gets taken down, so this is a good opportunity for them to get time over. They look like they're going to get the 2 ticks, and it's going to be big moves from Resto if he's going to push these guys off. As suggest that they're going to get A, and we're going to see that kind of 1 minute 15, and that's to say that everyone falls. Well, it is going to be Clark in the end who potentially going to push it out. We're going to see that A zone go over towards Takeover, leaving them 1 minute 18, but they have got a slight life advantage after all the heroics of the team in red. It is Takeover who come away with the life advantage, and it's going to be potentially a game tying round for Takeover with 1 minute 5.
Yeah.
A little bit of time. They have got to get set up though, Major.
Yeah, Cole not able to pick off any more kills, but you can see if they hop on the time here, there aren't going to be too many players nearby from Corrupt Light. They're holding a lot of players towards the middle side of the map. So number 6 Stob still playing this patiently. They don't have anyone on the hill. It looks as though they're almost playing for kills because it's 12 versus 6, now 12 versus 5, now 11 versus 5. Apologies, as Resto manages to grab one, but Stobb's now going to use that as an opportunity to get on the hill. Swogy is going to be there for the trade. There's going to be a big kill as well, potentially onto Dogs, but Dogs has none of it. So now Swogy going to have to wait and just spectate his teammates as they try and get the business done, but more of them are dropping by the wayside. Leaves Devil and Resto last 2 up. Resto and Devil do manage to both get a kill each, but Resto will get traded out, so now it's all on Mr. Devil. Can he work some magic here? And Clark has managed to get himself on a 6 streak as well, so big kills coming through from Clark, but oof, there you go. Devil stops him straight where he stands on that occasion, as his body hits the floor after about what felt like an absolute eternity of automaton bullets to the face. But ICG Takeover tie it back up, Pablo. Not much separating these guys at the moment. Two very good attacking rounds.
Yeah, absolutely, and a really nice performance from Takeover in terms of dropping bodies early doors. They get that man advantage, and then they're able to finally see out. They cut it even closer than Corrupt Light did in the first round. They're able to take that A point at around 20 seconds, which is about as close as you'd like to take it if you're going to tie the series up. But some great performances so far, and we've seen some, Dodge in particular, 19 and 13. This is, his second round. He did play reasonably well on the first. Not just in the hardwood, but he played well in the S&D as well, and it's been a particularly good performance from him, and it's a player like that they're going to look to maybe to drag them through this game right now across the board, with the exception of Freidel Major, who's just fell off a little bit, a player that we know really responds well in these kind of high engagement, high energy games. Doesn't look like he's responding too well in this. You would suggest if he's able to get firing on all cylinders, this could be a Corrupt Light series, but right now he's on the struggle bus and he's being dragged through the game by the likes of Devil and Swoby.
Oh, Dogs wins that gunfight onto Afraid again. Devil off the top rope. 2 big kills there, so the progression now going to start coming through, but can they read the flank? Not quick enough. Clark is working his way round on the pinch, and you can see number 2, Swogy, kind of in between rock and a hard place at the moment as a few players start to flood him out. He's just going to get aggressive. A little bit of a free fire coming through there, and he has his teammates nearby, but Dogs shuts down yet another player. Good work from Dogs. Tries to maintain more control of this bottom church. He's doing really well at the moment. Dogs, 24 and 14. Make it 25. Swogy only going to be able to take him down as he shoots him in the back. But with 24 seconds left, they've not really had much to go off of this one, Corrupt Light. They really need to try and get something going. And with Clark pushed up in this position, he might be able to cause an upset. But nice shots again from Devil. But at least open up the point to allow them to get on it. But already on the mini-map, have a look at number 6, Stobbs. He's working his way all the way around the back, and I don't think they might even need him, really. Number 7, Dogs, is cutting down players, and there's one for Stobbs. Oh, no, never mind. Devil stops him right in his tracks, and oh my goodness, that was a moment there that he's probably not going to want to watch back.
Well, that was you expecting the flank. I'm honestly expecting the 2 or the 3 piece from him. He gets absolutely bodied by Devil, who gets the 10. And that puts him in a positive KD. And we are going to see a player over towards this B side, stopping the clock on 4.2 seconds. Progress is going to go down. It is only 1 tick for the time being, but this is going to be a huge, huge moment for Corrupt Light, who've got a ton of work to do in order to keep this. And the shots coming in from the team in blue, who are looking very, very solid. It is going to be a big performance needed by number 8. But it is going to be not enough time and take over a solid defense, and they're going to take the lead 2-1. And again, this game just ping-pongs back and forth, Major.
Really good work from the boys in blue once again. They do look the slightly stronger team in respawns, especially in terms of just raw firepower. They do have the ability just to kind of punch into some of these objectives, as Mr. Stuss wants to major say. Thank you very much, Stuss, for that, buddy. And now we go in towards round number 4. Nice CG takeover. Only 1 round away. Going 2-1 up in the series here, so we'll see how they decide to try and play this first hill. It's going to be another absolute madness over towards this A point. You can see Cold already tucked himself up in towards the inner side of you on their side, and those duos got to be careful not to overextend a little bit, because Clark has just given his life away, and the call out surely going to come through that there's a man on the flank. Stobbs repositioned. Raidable though. Just going to bait for the information. He's going to manage to do it, and he might find this to perfection. Oh, no, never mind. It was the complete opposite. He got absolutely screwed for timing on that occasion. And the boys of ICG, first tick through. Fabs looking pretty decent at the moment. It looks as though the boys of Corrupt Light, again, are going to be kind of banking on the fact that some players can work some flanks. And Swogy looking to try and get that going now.
And because that player that's pushed up to Broken, given the alert to number 5 there, so Clark going to be ready for any potential push through. Swogy does push through you though, which I think takes him by surprise. Number 5 does drop a Freidel, who was on the flank though. Ooh. So Swogy pushes through mid, and they've been great kills so far. They're potentially pushed over to A with a solid minute left on the clock, and again the kill feed almost entirely blue. So one of the things that we potentially were going to criticise them for at the end of the S&D was the fact that they looked like they dropped off in terms of energy. Well, we've been proven wrong once again, as the team in blue just go fire on all cylinders, and we've got Starge on a 31 and 18, dropping a 30 bomb, and absolutely going off in this round. And this is one of, obviously, every kill counts massively. Right now they are slightly behind though, a slight deficit for ICT takeover, so Corrupt Light's just trying to up the ante a little bit, but they've got to go and defend solidly towards this B. But again, you see these two 4 players at takeover totally separate, so a big moment for number 6 as he needs to hold this back tank. and be able to allow his team to push through. But right now, number 4 is going to get an easy pick to Church. But that's a huge kill for Cole as he drops Resto towards the back end of Broken. They're back on the hill, and number 2 is just going to reposition, see if he can get himself in a decent position to kill these players. And number 5 on his lonesome Major at the back of the hill.
Yeah, but Clark's done a really good job in the back as he manages to get that glide bomb ready to use. And this is looking a little bit worrying now for Corrupt Light because they're down to 9 lives. They need to try and hit the regain here because they're also getting some progress on towards the point. First tick now done, second slowly pending. And Swogi again, nice bit of work there to get the man off of the hill. So 1 minute on the clock, and a quick shout out as well to Jetic, Fatal. Oh, and is that Mr. Fetty as well? What a man. Thank you very much, mate.
Hey.
As ICG look to try and get this map over the line. But Corrupt Light do stable the ship just for the time being. Twiz. Mr. Twiz wants one of those. There you go, buddy. Thank you very much. And glide bomb coming out from Clark. He's using this. They want this round done, but he's not going to get the kill. And Devil and Swogi managed to grab a couple of kills. So Clark round the back. Is he going to manage to make something work? And all around that was looking very much going to be the benefit to the blue team, Pablo, is all of a sudden looking as though the red team are in the driving seat now.
Devil and Swogi team up to absolutely body takeover, and with 27 seconds remaining, it's a hella defense right there. One tick over at B, and this is going to be superbly difficult for Takeover to be able to even get close to the hill, despite the heroics of Dodge, despite the heroics of Clark. 25 and 19, and it's going to be Corrupt Light looking the stronger team coming out of round 3 or round 4 even, and Devil on a 30 and 29. He's on a 4 streak as well. Potentially one more kill is going to carry him a glide into that round 4, so, or round 5 even. I've got round Dysphobia at the minute, 2.5 seconds remaining, and Corrupt Light are potentially going to tie the series up.
Oh man, what's a round there? The boys of Corrupt Light, they're down but not out. They managed to take the round, and we are coming to round number 5. So map 1, guys, if you missed it, was 250 to 242 on the Tuscan hardpoint, and we've got another respawn, Pabs, where the boys of Corrupt Light are managing to just hold on here, at least for the time being. Devil's now on a 5 as well, so glide bomb ready to be used as and when he decides to use it. And I mean, take your pick, flip a coin. The way these two are going at the moment, this could go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to look to the team on defense potentially to have the advantage because how difficult that B side can be. But right now, either team can take it. We've seen the break of save that you talk about, but right now the kill feed is going totally red, and that's a good early 3-light advantage. And it does look like the boys in Corrupt Light are firing on all cylinders, but Dodge is right there looking to get picks, but not able to get close. And right now the contest is going to be in, but Swogi's going to be there. He does love to get in behind players. He's going to take up that middle position one more time. Devil going to bring the ordnance out, and the kill feed goes entirely red as we see Major. Another bot lobby kill feed, and huge plays for Corrupt Light, who've taken a massive 9 lead advantage in terms of lives.
That's 15 in a row at the moment from Corrupt Light. ICG Takeover can't even get anything going in this round number 5. It looked as though it was a map where Corrupt Light were lucky to still be in it, and all of a sudden they are just blowing ICG Takeover out of the water. So they really need a big regain now. Clark and Cole over towards this B point. The A progression is now complete, but the life count 10 in favor of Corrupt Light. Resto taking a gunfight in towards that top radio. Is he going to manage to grab one? He is. His teammate's surely going to be there for the trade, and Swogi, the aggression once again pays off for him. Dargs, the man, currently having a bit of the X factor for these boys, as another glide bomb is going to come through. Swogi invests it already, and Stobbs dead to rights in the back. So now look at the kill feed at the moment. Once again, it is just all red. An absolute bloodbath for the boys of ICG Takeover as they look for more kills. As Swogi in the back, 11 in a row at the moment. He's just absolutely unstoppable. There's 12. And if he keeps going like this, oh my god, ICG Takeover, this map is chalked.
Well, I mean, I'm only messing, but .exe being flipped, and he's gone absolutely wild. 30 and 27 for Resto, but 36 and 25. And man, he was so close to a metal side streak. Maybe in between Jay Coates, but what a performance. 12 streak, 36 and 25. And Swogi has woken up. The player that we saw, you know, on Sunday, who played absolute part, despite losing, he played some amazing Call of Duty, and right now they have dominated this team in this round 5. They got 11 life difference, and Takeover look completely lost.
Dobbs keeping his head down. He has got Clark on the outer lane, but Clark's going to have a few gunfights, and he's not even able to win one. So again, the push from Corrupt Light is strong, and now down to 6 lives. Stobbs not going to be able to grab a kill, and they just can't seem to grab any sort of momentum now in this final round. Dogs hunting for one, manages to grab at least one. No, He gets shut down. Devil now on a 5, and this is looking like they are putting them to the sword. They're down to 2. Glide bomb. I think Stobbs has just given up to the fact that he is going to be dead to rights. So his teammate Clark is anyways, and now it's going to be all on Stobbs. 1 versus 18. I mean, we shouldn't laugh, but I mean, what a moment there from Corrupt Light, Pablo. They looked incredible in that last round.
A 1 versus 18, not even Jay Coates could potentially even take that round. 3-2 to Corrupt Light, and they just flipped a switch in that last round. They were like a completely different side. Everything hitting the target. Swogie finally wakes up, and they have an absolute performance. 27 untraded kills. Offensive kills in the hill. He gets like 25. The kid's gone absolutely off to take that round 3-2, and what a performance from Corrupt Light. But man, it's still only 2-1, and now we're going to go into that much more difficult, much more tactical map that is Berlin, and we're going to see whether the guys from Takeover can continue to throw the cat among the pigeons. An absolute performance, and they've been a great game so far. But again, you've got to look, Takeover, they weren't blown away. They were toe to toe. There's so many rounds in that game, and it's been a superb performance. And really, you've got to say to the other teams that are potentially going to be battling for that 4th spot, they're not going to want to play Takeover, and they're not going to be taking them lightly.
No, so we go from the absolute madness of a triple Tuscan over towards 2 more structured maps, and the boys in blue going to look to try and work a bit of magic here on the Berlin, because they are going to need to keep their series alive in map 4 and map 5. So Corrupt Light now leading 2-1, and after that first map, Pabs, obviously ICG, it's been, apart from the search, that map 1 and map 3, it has been a game of fine margins. They've had moments where they looked very, very good. It was literally up until that last round where Corrupt Light, they just seemed to flick into another gear and then just completely blitzed and took over. And you kind of look to the likes of Swogie, who, when they get into their rhythm, they look like a very difficult team to budge. That aggression that they have on their team, especially when Afraidable isn't struggling, I've noticed they look very, very good in those respawns.
Yeah, I mean, that was the player that in the very initial parts of the 2, maybe 3 rounds of control, Afraidable was on a 9 and 14. He wasn't really getting involved. It was very difficult for him to chain, 2 kills together, 3 kills together, which we used to seeing him do. And that's a huge impact on the map. And when you've got the rest of the opposition going toe to toe with you, it has an impact. But Afraidable comes good towards the end, provides that solid foundation. That just allows Swogie to get more aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's what we see. We talk about these teams that can go through the gears and just add an extra bit of pace, and right there Corrupt Light just seemed to up the gear by up the pace by 10% and just absolutely marauded Takeover, who were kind of looked as for the first time in the series, maybe apart from the S&D, just completely lost. The first time in Respawn looked completely lost at sea. Potentially, if they take that form into this Berlin hardpoint, this could be a worrying moment for the team in blue, but they've got every opportunity as well. If they take that first game hardpoint, Tuscan hardpoint, if they get that form into Berlin, we're hitting a game 5 100%.
Yeah, and I think regardless of which way it goes, it wouldn't surprise me if this Berlin goes down to maybe 10 to 15 seconds between these two. Obviously, that map 1 was a bit of a madness, so we'll have to look and see whether or not the teams can emulate.
P5 to P1 on the 3rd rotation, it's happening.
It's happening. It's always the case. The race over towards that hill is pretty much inevitable when it starts to go down to the wire. It's literally that P2 on Tuscan, isn't it, on Berlin, that final P1 rotation. So we're just waiting on the guys to pick their respective sides. And I will ask you the question, Pabs, the way these ones have been going, do you think Corrupt Light get it done in 4, or do you think we're going game 5?
Yeah, I think if Afraidable can maintain, I think if Swogie and Devil can continue the momentum, as long as they get that support from Afraidable, I think they can take this. If Afraidable has a poor map, or I think if any one player from Corrupt Light has a poor map, I think Takeover have got enough in the tank to take this to a game 5. If it goes game 5, I'm going to plant my flag with Corrupt Light. I think they're a very good S&D side. But if everyone on Corrupt Light plays well right now, it's going to be a 3-1.
So it looks as though everyone is ready and underway for map number 4. So Berlin Hardpoint going to potentially be ICG's final map here if they can't get anything going. But obviously, judging from that first map on that hardpoint, it wouldn't surprise me if we are going to go to a game 5 here, because map 1 and map 3 could have gone either way with these two. Nothing really separating them, and it's another ACCL Super League fixture, Pabs, where we're looking at these two teams with one team that we don't know a huge amount about against a team that we know quite a bit about from Cold War, and we're like, hello, we've got another team of 4 that are right in with a shout of potentially hitting that ceiling of trying to break through into the topper levels of AMS, because these Corrupt Light lads, they are no pushovers by any means. So even just taking a map off of these, not many will be able to brag that.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Even when we consider these may be like in terms of that top AMC, and these are kind of, you below the kinds of teams like Higgy and Crookies and Milk and the likes of Kez, they still have ambition and they still got that potential. They can shoot straight. They just need to get that kind of next level of COD knowledge, but be able to execute it at the kind of paces required. They definitely, these kind of players, got the quality, just maybe not got the kind of time to put in that you required to get to that next level. We see the likes of Kez, we see the likes of Higgin, that they're able to scrim all the time, really effectively at good levels, and it's whether these guys can start to peak. This is a great opportunity for them to get games against these top level players, so huge moment for them. And but Corrupt Light already looking super solid. They're already filling the kill feed with red, and Swogy looks like he's poised and ready to potentially go on a rampage through this team in blue.
Yeah, Swogy has timed this move to perfection. Nice shots again from Swogy. Another couple of kills come through from him. He just plays it patiently so well to wait for that timing to come through. And he pushes now in towards the P2 where Cole is going to be, but good work from Cole. Able to hold the front of house for just for the time being. He's afraid looks to try and get involved, and already a couple of kills coming through there for him. His teammate in Resto currently 3 in a row as he looks to try and push his way towards some potential streaks. You've got Stobbs out in the back though, so it'll be interesting to see whether they try and budge him, and they do manage to get him out. Dogs is going to be nearby. Do they know he's here? He's going to be able to take down one. There's still a few more players nearby though. Number 4 Inafraidable, ready for the engagement, looking to try and break some ankles, but the boys in blue have absolutely none of it. But now here comes the man himself, Mr. Swogy, and on that occasion, it's so bizarre, only able to get 1 kill. It's so odd seeing him fly to a hill and not get 2 pieces at this stage, which I think says pretty much everything about the way Swogy's been played today.
Yeah, I mean, he's already 7-3, and again, we talk about that one player on now. Afraidable is the one player we really need to see from Corrupt Light go off. And again, on the other side of things, Stobbs probably having a really bad moment. He's literally only had 7 interactions. He's only killed, 1 person in those interactions, and he's got no real time on the hill. So that's going to be a problem for Takeover. They're not going to be able to turn any kills into real time. We're starting to see that lead start to slip away to around about 40 seconds. We're only partway through the first rotation. So this is a worrying turn of events if you're a fan of the team in blue, or indeed a player of the team in blue, as Corrupt Light are effectively turning this time, these kills into time, as we see 2 players, potentially about to hit 8 kills each, and we're so early into the game. Resto and Swogy, when they got these guys firing on all cylinders, they're a really difficult team to deal with, and Takeover just look like they are on the struggle bus right now.
Yeah, and Swogy aggressively pushing out all of the lanes that he can. Spots Clark in the back, and his teammate going to rob his 5th kill there, but he does have a glide bomb anyways. Swogy 5 in a row now, going to even cement it even more. So the glide bomb going to come out straight away, looking to try and grab a couple of players potentially on the rotation, if not in the back. You see Stobbs already in the back. He's going to try and land it back warehouse, but to no avail on that occasion. And Afraid still working towards that P2 side, but Clark, good work, locks it down. But now this is the potential opening that they need. They managed to take the man out in tower. Stobbs is going to get his head clean off there by Devil, as the FMJ is going to save him and grab that in kill. Afraidable looking to try and work his way in, but Swogy at the moment, he is just on an absolute rampage, Pabs, at the moment. 7 in a row again, and the lead really for Corrupt Light starting to get a little bit dangerous now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a good, solid job so far. Number 6 in Dodge doing everything he can to defend from the front of this hill. But the problem is that they've got so many players pushed far forward. If they do get tagged up, there's an opportunity for that scrap time to go the way the Corrupt Light suggests that they're already thinking about that rotation over towards that backfire. So it could be over towards the middle, sorry. So it could be a big moment. We know this is a difficult hill to kind of maintain any kind of focus on and get any real time. So a good opportunity now for the teams to have a little reset. We can see Corrupt Light already thinking about the hold, and already thinking about the beginning of the next rotation. Cole looks like he's on point to try and push through, trying to get those FMJ kills over towards top third, but not able to do it right now. Though it's been a great comeback so far from Takeover, who brought this game back to within 40 seconds after being, monumentally behind. We do see Devil with an unfortunate stun over to Swogy, but again, the kill feed is almost entirely red, which is something that Takeover really need to deal with sooner rather than later, because they are just not getting the kills. Everyone in a negative position. No one with really, taking control of the time right now. They've got Cole on 40, but that is not good enough. And Major, once more, we say it, that kill feed is devilishly red.
Yeah, it was combined at 11, I think, at one point. It's still currently standing at 10 now, as Swogy manages to grab yet another kill. 18 and 4 from Swogi. The man who we normally tend to see run an SMG is now doing it with an automaton in his hand. So he's looking for more. 19 and 4, currently combining with 10 with Resto. So him and Resto now 5 in a row for the both of them as he looks to try and grab a couple more. Not going to be able to on that occasion as number 3 Resto is also going to drop on his streak. But look at the score difference now. The boys in blue, they really need to pull their finger out quickly as the trades get a little bit messy inside the P1. But they do manage to punch through. And Mr. Big Bound Wolf, thank you very much for the follow, buddy. Cole, nice shots there to take down Resto, looking for another one as well. Good couple of kills onto Swogi, and this is what they need at the moment, ICG Takeover. They just need that shift in kills and momentum, because it feels like at the moment, the boys of Corrupt Light, they are just not giving them an inch, and Devil looking to try and punch his way through the front. Not going to be able to on that occasion. Clark's done a really good job as he clears through 3 players trying to punch through the front, and this is what they need to do, Pabs. Those blue players, you just need a blue kill feed for a change, because it just feels as though we haven't had it all mapped.
Yeah, Blue Adaba D, indeed. They need the full kill feed. But Clark going off with the MP40 like a turret, which is something you don't see very often. It's exactly what they needed. It's pushed them over to 100 points. The deficit now completely reduced to around about 30 seconds. I know Corrupt Light is set up on this P2, and they have been solid in terms of holding some of these hills. But right now, the Takeover boys just need to mix it up, start to get more aggressive, start to push in and get a little bit of luck, maybe just make their own luck and start to get kills and get those comms out. And this got to be an easy kill. They need that support. They've got players who are playing a little too passively. Number 5 was nearly about to get tagged up, get saved by Cole in the end, and they're able to get onto the hill. But with 27 seconds remaining, they need to start, dominating, need to start getting the majority of time on these hills, and it's not happening. And who did we talk about? If he goes off, it goes big for Corrupt Light. Afraid will on a 3 streak. He's been so close to being able to, get himself back to level pegging on his KD, but hasn't been able to do it, just yet. He's going to get tagged up one more time. You just got to look at Swogi, 22 and 9, being an absolute thorn in the side of Takeover, and this has been a performance to behold so far as Resto 16 and 12 on another streak, and yet again the team in red stack up for a 7 streak major. It's been a hell of a performance, and they're still only 50 seconds in the lead.
Yeah, and a quick shout out as well to Mr. Jacko, raiding with 41. Thank you very much, Jacko. Hope your games were also as banging as this one is currently at the moment. Thank you very much, buddy. So guys, if you are just joining us, this is another ACCL Super League game. Corrupt Light currently leading 2-1, and they're looking as though they're in the driving seat here in map number 4, and Dogs is doing all that he can just to try and steady the ship for the time being. Swogi going to fly around the corner, able to take down one as it starts to get messy over towards this hill. Cole is still lurking outside, but he is going to get sniffed out by the man in Afraid, and at the moment, Corrupt Light, they are really starting to put ICG through their paces now. They're going to be forced to rotate. 10 seconds going to go on top of that 210 points already accumulated, and now at this point, Pabs, the boys of ICG, they really need to look to this hill to hold out.
Yeah, I think they've left it too late. They needed to really start to be a challenge for every bit of scrap time, to put this team under pressure across the map, and they've just not been able to do it. They don't really seem to have the individual players right now to do it. Dodge has completely dropped off compared to his control game, 11 and 21. The kill feed again goes entirely the way of Corrupt Light, 2-2-1 to 1-4-1. They have sliced through Takeover like butter, and it's just been a really, really sad fall off from what was an amazing performance in the control, and obviously a superb performance in the hard point. But right now, they really need to make a break, and they've got to be quick. But not just that, they need to be accurate. And Cole, one man in it through the hill is not going to cut it, Major.
Yeah, and at the moment, Devil's just cutting all those players across in transition. There's another one. Oh no, a little bit of a windy shot there. Not able to grab that kill, but his teammate in Afraid, he's still on the point. And with 5 seconds left, Corrupt Light, they have just blown ICG out of the water here as they are cutting them down one at a time. Corrupt Light, we had our doubts on them after that map 1, Pablo, but after the remaining maps, you couldn't really have it. 250 to 141 in map 4, and they take the series 3-1.
Yeah, an absolute plays again by Swogi, who goes big in the latter stages of the game, getting huge kills, 2 and 3 pieces, absolutely in pain. Very little time is spent on kills. You look at him, 25 seconds compared to well over a minute for every other player, and he just causes nothing but problems for the boys of ICG Takeover. They're constantly having to worry about them in the back of their minds. They can't see where it is. They're clearly not counting players because they didn't do it throughout any of the control, and it's just been a wild performance that you've just got to look to Corrupt Light, who just absolutely chained 3 games together. The control was eminently, it was really good, but Takeover just not good enough in the end, and a great comeback and a lovely regain, and it's exactly what Corrupt Light needed after yesterday's unfortunate performance.
Yeah, so Corrupt Light, they managed to take it in 4. They dropped the map 1, which if you did miss it, guys, I recommend you go back and have a look at it. It was an absolute banger of a map, but maps 2, 3, and 4, obviously that hard point in map number 4, incredibly dominant in comparison to the first one. And Resto wants one of those bad boys. Thank you very much, buddy. And yeah, the boys in Mistaken Identity, the boys in Corrupt Light, apologies, they are going to manage to take it in 4, and it was a really good series, Pablo, nonetheless. Obviously, ICG, we got to see what they had for the first time out of this roster. I don't worry for them a huge amount, to be honest. Obviously, we know Corrupt Light are a very good roster. They put the boys of Clutch Rain through their paces yesterday. So to be able to pinch that map 1 and obviously have a very close control, they look like a solid team, nonetheless, for the first time that we've seen them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a complete... I mean, to be fair, yesterday they had moments where they looked like they were a cohesive unit. They got some big kills and some players went off, but this was the first time we really see them under pressure, just being able to fight back, being able to be consistent and maintain pace. But not just that, but one thing they did that a lot of these kind of teams you expect them to do at this level is they just went through a gear and went through another pace and absolutely blew Takeover out the water. Now they need to consider that they need to maintain that pace as their general play now, because they're going to be coming up with teams that play at that pace, that not just do that, but they execute the strategies really well, and they need to start thinking in those kind of terms. And right now, ICG Takeover, they'll win, no fools. They've clearly got very talented players, but just not enough in terms of chemistry and in terms of that strategy that we look for. Sometimes just looking a little lost on the map, in particular towards the end of that. Obviously, that very last round of control was insane, but obviously towards the latter part of the first rotation of that Berlin, they just kind of lost their way a little bit. So big performance, back to the drawing board for ICG Takeover. Go and look at your S&D, go and obviously look at your control, and come back to us and see what you can do in the next game. Corrupt Light, though, 1 on the board, they're 1-1 right now, and it's a nice position to be in. They were likely to lose the Toki game, so this is exactly how we expected it potentially to go.
Yeah, and big GG's there to both teams and to all the teams in today's games. Obviously, Fluxx Nitro and Ricochet Darkshade played early, and Fluxx Nitro, they took that 1-3-1 as well. So we've had 8 incredible maps, really, once again, in the ACCL Super League. That is going to be us done for this evening, though, as we won't be on tomorrow because we do have the old Elites going on. So our next game that we will be covering will be on Thursday. But a big GG's to everyone who's taken part, and a big thank you as well to you guys, obviously, as always, and a big shout out as well to Mr. Jacko for bringing over some viewers as well. And that is going to be it from myself and Pablo this evening. Very thank you. God, I'm just so gracious. Very much an incredible night of COD, and a big thank you to all of you guys who tune in time after time, and to all the new people as well for dropping follows and chatting. It's always good to see some new faces. But yeah, we will be back on Thursday for some more action. Thank you very much, guys, and we will catch you then. We're going to go show Brody a bit of love with a bit of raid, so if you can hop on the raid and go and see one of Europe's biggest brains when it comes to amateur COD. He's currently doing a podcast at the moment with, I think it's Watson at the moment they've got at the moment. Yeah, it is. It's Watson and McCormy they're doing a podcast with at the moment. So if you can head over there, drop him some love as well. I'm sure you'll recognise him. If you don't know who he is, where have you been? But a big thanks again, guys, and we will catch you all later on.